Hey everyone, I'm your host, Courtney Massey.
And I'm your host, Valerie David, and this is the night session.
So, we originally planned to record yesterday, but I had to cancel, unfortunately, and I apologize for that. And yesterday was actually Best Friends Day. So, I want to say
Ah.
Happy Best Friends Day, Valerie. It's a shame we
Ah.
aren't friends. No, I'm just kidding.
I
I'm
wish
just
I
kidding.
had a best friend.
I'm just kidding. I love you. Okay. I had that in my notes, and then I was like, "Oh crap, it's not Best Friends Day anymore."
Happy belated best friends day.
Happy belated best friend to my enemy. No, okay.
BBFF.
She's gonna yell at me after this. How dare you? Okay. So
So,
we are gonna start our webcast with our street cred segment.
Roger.
Roger.
Yay.
And you watched Roger this morning, didn't you? You
I
got up
got
bright
up
and early.
freakishly early to watch Roger. I was in bed watching him on my phone, going, "He's so pretty."
It's a good wake up call though. Good
It
wake up.
is, and he was playing Fritzy, who was also pretty. So was actually it was a good match. Roger's a little bit rusty. He's still. I feel like he's not arching his back fully on the serve, so I think he's
Sorry.
protecting the serve. Uh,
Sorry, you would definitely pay attention to the arch in his back.
oh yeah, I am all about the full arch. It is. It's. If you talk to other Fed fans, they know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, his left eyebrow was like a half inch higher this time. I'm worried. We know all these little nuances, but that's always the big kicker because we're so used to Roger having back injuries on and off in his career that's always the thing I look for. A lot of people watch like, oh, he's not stretching for shots and things like that, which is also an indication. But to me, the big thing, he has such a beautiful service motion, and then when you see him he only tilts halfway back and just kind of arms it a little bit more. I tend to worry about that a little bit, but he started out yesterday playing before the rain. He managed to get a break in right before the rain delay. Roger's always so cool and calculating. It's like he can tell the weather. Like, oh shit, we're gonna have to stop soon. I guess I'd better break.
Oh, my knee tingles. Rain's coming through.
That's right. Ding ding. So Fritzy actually played really well. The Fed fans were extremely annoyed that he was playing so well. He's got a monster serve on grass, like such a welcome relief after clay because winners are actually winners. It's like so exciting. You get to hear them thumping down those aces and stuff. So hopefully Roger's going to be okay. He's got to play Florian Meyer next, who he beat pretty easily last time that they played. I believe on grass. But Roger's not quite at 100%, so we'll see what happens. But I'm just happy to see him back on a court again. Roger.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So if we're done with Roger Love, I mean we're never truly done. But in this
Roger Love
segment,
never ends.
we will move on to we're gonna start the show aside from Roger by talking about the most recent breaking news in tennis, which is Maria Sharapova being suspended from tennis for 2 years. And I am a dope when it comes to this doping case, but luckily Valerie here has been following the case and all the details that you would want to know. So she's going to let us know on the scoop and juicy details.
The scoop, yeah. I have 2 pages of notes because the tribunal that decided on this case, they put out a 33-page document explaining their decision. And it's one of the most awesome things I've ever read. Because I've never read such sarcastic legalese in my life. I mean, it's amazing. It's like filled with all this kind of double speak and rules and regulations and circular talk, and then it somehow still manages to be, completely sarcastic and condescending. I don't It's kind of awesome. I'm just going to go through kind of the points that were made in this. One of the first things that was that Maria came out originally to say that she had tested positive and this and that, and she had explained that she was taking this meldonium as a medication for health reasons, and but she said that the medication she was taking was known as mildronate, and she didn't know it had meldonium in it, and then she didn't know that that was even on the banned list, and she didn't know anything. And so the tribunal said that they agreed that maybe she didn't know that it was on the banned list, and maybe she wasn't aware that this was a medication, but by neglecting all the rules associated with reporting your medication and that sort of thing, that she disregarded the risk of violating the doping rules. So basically, like, yeah, maybe you didn't know, but you had like 500 opportunities to know, and so we're not buying that as an excuse.
Yeah.
So that was the first part. Then another thing that Maria had said in her testimony was that she tested positive, obviously, for this in 2015, and she feels that they should have told her that it was going to be a banned substance because they knew that she was on it. So she was putting the responsibility on them. And among other things, they said that they actually didn't get the results back until 2016. So they actually wouldn't have known in time to warn her about it. So, again, your problem, not ours, kind of a thing. This is the point that a lot of people have been contentious about. There's been some studies that meldonium is a performance enhancer, and it's usually regarding like oxygen use and endurance. But it's not really been conclusive. The tribunal said that they don't have to prove the scientific evidence of meldonium as a PED, just basically a pattern of use. So it's kind of like everyone's using it as a performance enhancer, and whether it is or not doesn't matter. It's intent. So that's something that people have argued a lot about. Then there was a bunch of revelations in here that people didn't know, because there was some detail about how she was taking meldonium. And it was when she was 18, the doctor prescribed her 18 medications and supplements for mineral imbalances to treat her recurrent viral illnesses. And one of those 18 medications was the meldonium, and she was supposed to take 2 pills before matches and 3 to 4 before special matches. And that's a quote.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, you know, here, these are for special matches.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
And
I can understand maybe if, like, on the men's side, they play best of 5, so I can understand them saying that because you're playing longer.
right.
And, you know, so that would be maybe differences on your body or whatever scientifically. But
Right.
yeah, that's a little weird because women, you know, don't have that issue.
Right. And I was kind of thinking along the lines of, like, you know, what medication ever works like that? It's usually like take 2 in the morning or whatever, you know. That's not usually like take this before a match, you know. And I was thinking you could look at it as like, you know, people might take an inhaler before a match because of breathing problems or whatever. But when it says special matches, that's kind of like a red flag, because it doesn't even say like longer matches or, you know, in humid conditions where your breathing might be late. You know, it was nothing like that. It was just like, these are for the special matches. And this was apparently quite a high dose. This is a thing where a lot of people have been getting off on the charges because the meldonium was still in their system. And so they were saying they stopped taking it, but they was still in their system when they were tested. And so a lot of people were saying Maria kind of got a raw deal, because if she had just kept her mouth shut, she could have gotten in on this, you know, little caveat. But it sounds like she had such a high level that they wouldn't have considered her exempt anyway. So, so she was taking these 18 medications and supplements, and then in 2010, this doctor upped it to 30 substances
That's
that she was
insane.
taking. Yeah.
That's not natural.
Right. And you know they're not eating like we are. They're not having like a double cheeseburger and and fries and stuff. So you're basically taking 10 pills a meal and you're eating a lettuce leaf. I mean, this doesn't seem like it's like the pills diet.
Yeah, that doesn't seem healthy at all.
Right. And so
And
apparently, go ahead. I'm sorry.
sorry, I read an article I think a few months ago where it said a lot of supplements and things like that don't even work very well.
Right.
Like don't even do what they're supposed to do, so it's pretty pointless.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of times with supplements, you don't even know what strength you're getting. Like it says it's, 200 milligrams, but really it isn't because they mix it with other things. And so you're just taking handfuls of pills and maybe not getting benefit from at least half of it. So I guess in 2012, she decided that maybe 30 pills wasn't the way to go. And so she severed ties with that doctor and hired a nutritionist. But she continued to take 3 of the pills that he had prescribed without any doctor's supervision. And she didn't tell her nutritionist that she was taking the meldonium still. She didn't tell any physician that she interacted with in the intervening years. The WTA physicians, any trainers, any specialists that she saw for her injuries. She never told them that she was taking this. And her excuse for that was that they never asked her what medication she was on. Which, is so like a doctor.
Yeah, that does it.
If they're going to be giving you pain medication and stuff, you don't think they're going to ask you what
Yeah.
other medications you're taking?
Yeah. Liar, liar, court's on fire.
Yes. Yes. So this the other thing too is that when you're taking any kind of medication, even if it's like vitamin C or whatever, there's the WADA doping forms and you have to declare all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because sometimes these things show up in the test results and they want to discount it or whatever. Sometimes people take things to mask other things that they're taking, and so they want to know everything that you're on. Well, she never included this on those forms in 2014 or 2015. And her reasoning behind that was that, well, she thought it was only medications that you took every day. And if she had to fill it in with everything that she takes, every gel, every energy drink, it would just be too long. And she just didn't think it was that important. So
it's a strange thing because she's just been a professional for so many years.
yes.
And I can understand these kind of lapses in judgment from someone who's just on tour and doesn't really understand. And that could be just chalked up to training. People didn't really inform them correctly. And they don't have a real understanding of what the forms mean and what you're taking and all these things like that. But she's been on tour for such a long time that it's kind of hard to believe that her or her team just aren't more experienced and to handle all of this.
Right. And they said that they had emails from her asking about other things that she was taking. Like, I'm on this inhaler. I just wanted to make sure there's nothing in it that's on the banned sub. So it's like, so she had done her due diligence on other things. And then this one particular drug she just never told anybody about and didn't declare it and kept it secret. And then this part's my favorite.
Oh.
Apparently only her father knew she was taking this drug, and then at some point her manager, Max Eisenbud. And he said in his testimony that he was the one who took responsibility for checking the list of banned substances every year, and that Maria would give him a list of drugs and then he would compare it to the list. And he said what he would do is he would go to the Caribbean every year and sit by the pool and read the list and compare the list. And he got divorced last year, so he didn't go to the Caribbean, and so he didn't read the list. And so it's all his fault. And JD said this is the definition of white privilege.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I couldn't go to the Caribbean, so I couldn't do my work.
Yeah, like I couldn't sit by the pool and drink a coconut, so I couldn't read.
I couldn't read.
I didn't have my reading coconut.
I wasn't by the beach, I just couldn't focus.
Yeah, Maria should buy him a sound machine so it sounds like he's in the waves
There you go.
and the sound of it so he can do his work anywhere.
Yes. And so I thought that this was like just so unbelievably bullshit. And the tribunal apparently felt the same way because their response was the tribunal is not required to accept evidence which it finds to be wholly incredible. And it felt like this whole document, as it went piece by piece, it seemed to translate all of this legalese was basically saying, give me a fucking break. Because they decided that, you know, the way that she was taking this before matches and practice, the way she hid evidence, purportedly even from her own team, that she was using it for performance enhancing. And that's part of where that 2 years comes from. There's like how you're intending to use it, and did you know it was on the banned list? And they're kind of, she didn't get 4 years, I'm assuming, because they decided that, you know, there was no intent to fool them, kind of, because she didn't know it was on the ban list, but she was using this for performance enhancing, and, you know, so she's at fault in that way. And also that there were so many ways that she could have known that this was on the banned list and just disregarded it. And so the final sentence of the report was, she is the sole author of her own misfortune. Which apparently some people had some problems with the tone of this document. They kind of feel like she's a scapegoat and things like that. But I feel like I can kind of understand where they're coming from, where if, you know, they're trying to legitimately keep the sport clean, and this testimony is just kind of like laughable in trying to say that this isn't what we were using it for. And then I used this picture because I thought it was really funny. Maria was walking around at promo events wearing these shirts that said back in 5 minutes, which was just this whole, like, her whole attitude, this whole thing has been like, I'm going to get off. I'm Maria Sharapova. You know, and so when this comes back with, you know, a 2-year sentence, it was like, what? You know, who, me? She's apparently going to appeal, and there's been a lot of argument about that. Some people think she's going to get it cut down to 1 year, and that's why they gave her 2 years, because they figured there was going to be an appeal. Mm-hmm. So if you make it 1 year, then she'll get it cut down to 6 months or whatever. So they made it 2 years because then it probably couldn't get cut down more than a year. And then people are saying if it's 2 years, she might not come back because she'll be close to 31. And she's had a lot of injuries. But the thing is, she'll get to rest for 2 years. So,
yeah,
you know, she might actually come back stronger, because that's like what happened with Rafa when he was off for 7 months. It was like, oh, he hasn't been playing for 7 months. It's like, yeah, but he finally got to heal, because everybody's always playing with like the minimum amount of healing time. You know, this bone just sealed up. I can go back on the court. You know, so everything's kind of up in the air right now.
Yeah, and it's funny. This picture was actually really funny because we did the run through twice this time, and the first run through we did, I did not notice that was altered to say back in 2 years, and I didn't realize it until the second run through, and I just died because that's really funny. And
it's done so well. It's like you.
I didn't even notice. It was so realistic to the real shirt that I didn't even notice. So kudos to the person who made that. That was some good Photoshop.
Yes, but the other ironic news about this is that Nike and I think, is it Evian? I think one of her other sponsors, is they both reinstated her. Mm-hmm. Because so it's like they dropped her when she was accused,
and then when she's sentenced, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah,
because they're taking it as, I'm sorry, they're taking it as, you know, well, they sort of said she's kind of not guilty.
Yeah, it was very funny, and it seems like a lot of her sponsors are standing by her. And honestly, it surprises me a little bit, just given the controversy of it, but then it doesn't surprise me at all, because it doesn't surprise me at all that they're staying with her, because did you see how well she sold this shirt? And
Yes.
she's wearing the Back in 5 Minutes shirt that she got from Zara, I believe it was,
Yes. Yeah.
exploded. And people are buying it all over the world. And she keeps retweeting everybody that buys the shirt. And so she's giving them so much publicity.
Yes.
And, she has her chocolate line. She has all her other off court kind of endeavors that I think her selling ability is so great that they're like, yeah, we're gonna stay on this.
Well, yeah, and I noticed it when, she's been on this probation and they've still been selling her clothes in the stores
Mhm,
and everything.
mhm,
And and they've got pictures of people looking at them and stuff, and I'm going, well, honestly, the average person doesn't know even that any of this is going on.
mhm.
They might hear some like vague news report or something and go, Sharapova, what? Oh, whatever. Oh, look, here's her skirt, and let's buy some candy. I think it like they probably figure that, tennis insiders might be viewing her differently, but for the most part, she's probably still going to make them a ton of money. So, and
Yeah.
there's a chance, like, especially if she gets this reduced down to 1 year or whatever, then she can make her glorious comeback. And
Mhm.
because most of her fans are pretty much just hardcore with her. They
Yeah.
feel she's been treated unfairly, and they're still behind her. So
Yeah, exactly. And she has a lot of fans that are going to buy her merchandise and support her in any way they possibly can because they feel she's been robbed.
right.
So I don't blame the companies for staying with her. I think some of the athletes might be a little pissed.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't know if you have this in your notes, but I read a Ben Rothenberg tweet that says, or maybe it wasn't Ben who says, somebody tweeted that they heard players saying that they got an email saying that they're not to not talk badly about Maria.
Yeah, John Wertheim. It was John
Oh,
Wertheim
John
that
Wertheim,
tweeted.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I did see that, and that's what everybody said. They were like, "Well, that explains it," because they were kind of curious that no one had come out and said anything, because Kiki and Sibilkova were pretty vocal about the initial charges,
Hmm.
and then we haven't really heard a peep since then. So I really don't like that. I don't like the WTA saying that. I could see them saying like don't slam the whole organization and go on some kind of a horrible rant that makes the WTA look bad.
Yeah.
But I don't see why they can't say some kind of thing about we're glad she's caught, or we think she was unfairly treated or whatever. I think they should still be allowed to be people. It's like they're not in prison. They're playing professional tennis.
Yeah, the silencing of that is kind of crazy. And it's funny you brought up inmates because now in Texas, inmates can no longer have any form of social media because inmates used to, sometimes they have Facebooks or blogs that are run by other people. And they now want to silence inmates, which is, they don't want anybody knowing
Yeah.
abuse or
Oh yeah,
anything.
right.
So
Sure.
of course, that raises red flags.
Right.
So when the WTA says, don't talk about this, that raises red flags that they're trying to silence, their team. And I think that makes it look even worse than
Yes.
having a couple players, stand up to this.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that's definitely disappointing, and I don't like that at all. And
No.
it's funny because Maria's all over the news now, and last night I was watching the nightly news, and the guy explaining the drug said that it was made in Latvia, but like the way he said it sounded like he's never said Latvia before.
Right.
Which in America we don't talk about Latvia very often, so
Right.
it was very funny how he said that meldonium was made in Latvia.
He'd been practicing it.
It
Latvia.
it was it was the most unnatural way I've ever heard someone speak of something foreign. Because I always apologize on the show, and I don't like to say players' names because I, realize that I don't have the gift of pronouncing things correctly. But that was just that was pushing it. Like he was really he was really trying to get that in there, and it just was. Latvia is not a hard thing to say.
No, no,
But
no.
it just seemed like the most unnatural way of speaking. Like he sounded like an alien trying to blend in. Like, I know how to speak. Speaking is natural.
That's amazing.
Because
Latvia. We are from Latvia.
because it was just great because everything he said was normal up until Latvia.
His programming had a glitch.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like when it automated, like when your phone, has the automated voice that says things, and the numbers and stuff are just put together. 1, 3, 7, 9.
Yeah.
Latvia.
Yeah. Yes, Siri had a glitch.
A serious glitch.
It was a boy, so maybe Sirio or something.
Yo,
Sirio.
cereal.
That sounds like something Brad Gilbert would say.
There you go.
Curios, Sirios.
Oh my goodness.
Any other interesting tidbits about the Sharapova case that we have not covered yet?
I think that's probably about it. I'm like still not even sure what opinion to have about this.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I don't know.
And part of what somebody pointed out too is part of what my problem is with it is that there is no guarantee that she is the only one. So you might get all righteously indignant about Maria, and your player might be doing something extremely similar.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. I mean, I think that her testimony and stuff was ridiculous. It's like, you obviously were not using this for any kind of medical condition, and if it was, there has to be something in the back of her mind that's she knows what it's really for. So I'm not believing she is innocent. Yeah. But this thing is so convoluted with, it was legal all this time and now it's not. That's kind of a lot of people feel she's getting persecuted for taking it for 10 years when it wasn't illegal. But I think that they're going a lot by intent. That's kind of how they're doing it. And I guess you can argue whether that's legally binding or not. But I mean, even in criminal law and stuff, intent is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Difference between first degree and manslaughter,
Yeah.
So I said I don't want to say, oh, she was so wronged. But on the other hand, I don't feel like, I don't feel good about it. I don't, it's just a mess, kind of.
It is. It's just, ugh. That's all I can say. I'm sorry. That's all I can say is just, ugh.
That pretty much sums it up, I think.
So we will move on to another hot topic this last week. Weather. And I think the weather and ball kids were pretty much the real stars of the French Open this year. And I've always said Mother Nature is not a tennis fan, and she was not good to Paris whatsoever. No. And I think clothing lines that manufacture clothing for tennis players should include those hats with like the little umbrellas attached on top. And I think it's practical for players and fans. And like, can you imagine how much money Roland Garros made on those umbrellas?
No kidding.
A killing. They had to have made a killing because everybody had to have an umbrella.
Yes, because I found out an interesting thing about Roland Garros that's insane.
What?
That not only do they not have a roof, but if it's raining, there's really nowhere to shelter, and they don't let you leave.
Wait, what?
They don't let you leave. If you leave, you can't come back.
Why?
It's just how they do it. Because like Cincy, they hand stamp you, and then you can go out to eat somewhere and come back when the matches start up again. Mm-hmm. And Roland Garros, you just have to stand there under your umbrella for 4 hours waiting for the matches to come back on. It's insane.
Yeah, that's weird.
And so they had the lowest attendance, they said, in 10 years. And I can see why, because people were going, well, I'm not going to, it looks like rain. I'm not going to go there and stand around for 8 hours hoping to see 10 minutes of matches. And they really caused a huge controversy on one of the early days of rain that if the players play 2 hours, they don't have to give a full refund. And they had Nole out there for 2 hours and 1 minute. And so when people found that out, that it was that precise, that's like you put the player, because a lot of the players were really angry because they were playing in like full rain.
Yeah.
Because on clay, it's like you can play in a drizzle or whatever, and it's usually like as long as the lines aren't slippery, we can go. They were playing in like a downpour,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just so they wouldn't have to give a refund. Which, I can see the tournament side of it where it's like you don't want to give all your money back, and plus you also want to keep the schedule going if you can.
Yeah.
But that one day where it was like none of them should have been out there. But I guess it's like, oh, you have 5,000 people waiting outside. Let's put on an hour of tennis, and then we only have to give half a refund.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a mess. But I know that after that initial thing where everybody got really pissed off, they seemed like they did some good scheduling moves. Stan had said in one of his press conferences that he thought they did better than a lot of other tournaments to get back on track. And they did something that I would have been stunned that other tournaments never do. Generally, the matches start at like 11.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had so much rain and they were so behind, they started at 9. I've always been curious about that, where it's like, it's supposed to rain at noon. We'll start the matches at 11. It's like, why? And they do it because, well, people's tickets are for 11 o'clock or whatever. But it's like, you have 60 matches you have to get through today. Start early.
Yeah.
So they actually did that. They started early, and then when they got later in the tournament, when it was quarterfinals and stuff, where generally they don't use the other courts, they use the other courts and put players on simultaneously so that you wouldn't get any of that, well, he hasn't played for 2 days and his opponent is still trying to finish his quarterfinal match. So, they kept it fair, pretty much. The women got screwed, as usual, more than the men. They had to play like 4 days in a row or something.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, well, that's what they have to do in Masters anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. So, yeah. So, not everyone was going to be happy about it, but for the most part, they actually didn't do a bad job.
Yeah. And like the rain, I mean, that was some serious business. Like the city was flooded.
Yes.
They had the Louvre was flooded, and they had
Yes.
to move some of the artwork. And
Yeah, that's crazy. That's the kind of stuff that's scary. And they have a lot of historical buildings and stuff, and you've got to think that that's not good for, crumbling old buildings. Let's have rising waters around them. That seems safe.
yeah, no, tennis tournaments in rain, man, it's a mess. 'Cause
Yeah.
remember, I was in the hurricane in New York. Like, it's not, it was not fun. And I think they started the matches early one day too, like the qualifiers.
Yeah.
Because I remember I missed the beginning of one of the matches, and I think it was due because they started pretty early.
Yeah.
But yeah, the like just
Yeah, and it was, and also not just the rain, it was also freezing cold. Like you were talking about the players' kits, we never got to see any of them because all the women particularly had jackets and pants on, and
yeah.
I've never even seen so many guys wearing those little undershirts under their shirts. It's like that. It's like 60, and they're still out there and sleeveless or whatever. But it was like everybody was freezing to death.
Yeah. Yeah, not easy, and a lot of players were upset about the conditions.
Yeah.
And some people were hard on them for that, saying that, well, they lost, so of course they're upset.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't easy for a few days there.
No, and a lot of the people who won matches said the same thing, so they backed them up. That it's like, obviously you're not going to be as pissed if you manage to win.
Yeah.
But they all still said that the conditions were terrible. I mean, there were several matches where both players were like, why are we out here? So winner and loser were both upset about being out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So.
And next, we have a little special. Now, now everyone knows, after Novak won, he imitated Guga's win by drawing a heart on the court and then falling back into it. Not the dick that we show here. It was actually a heart, whatever.
Yeah.
But I might be in the majority on this, but I didn't really appreciate the imitation. Like, I know Guga gave him permission to do it, and he was happy with it, whatever. But I wish Novak had come up with his own celebration, instead of just mimicking someone else's. And
Yes.
like, I'm a fan of Novak. I love him a lot. But like at the same time, like I just felt that the moment was special to Guga in my eyes. And
Yes.
like I would have preferred it to stay that way. Like I just felt like it was a knockoff.
Right. And yeah, my whole thing is that people always wait for someone to win a slam, particularly when it's like this is its first French Open. People are waiting for that spontaneous reaction. Do they crumple and fall down? Do they scream and jump over the net? Do they climb up into the stands and hug their team? Everyone's looking for that genuine reaction. And Nole goes and does Guga's heart and then has a choreographed routine that he's worked out with the ball kids. And it's just like icky.
It's not as authentic. It's a
No. And
that you're doing, and it's not so emotional.
right. And it's just a thing too where it's like says so much about the tour that Nole was so confident that he was going to win this one, that he had time to plan this out, and he had that whole thing that he's been doing with that everyone's talking about him giving his boobs to the audience is give the love, share the love, whatever the hell it is actually like a sponsorship thing.
Yeah.
So it's even like a total PR thing. And when he first started doing it in the tournament, he actually manhandled a ball kid and forced him to do it with him. The kid was like, "What the hell? Why are you grabbing me from behind?" It was just really awkward and uncomfortable. And then, but he just kept doing it. And I said, and then with the Guga thing, where he asked permission, which it's like, I understand why he did that, because then he would be able to say, well, Guga said it was okay. But it's like, but you're so confident you're going to win that you're able to go and ask permission to do this choreographed celebration.
But it just made me mad because like Guga's was like from the heart. Like
Yes.
that was like something that was so special to him, and he was, his love for the tournament and his love for that moment.
Right.
And then Novak's like, "Hey, if I win, can I do that?" And it's
Yeah.
like, why don't you do your own thing? And it's just, I think Novak has a problem connecting with people. And I didn't always understand that because I was always a fan with him. I connected with him, very early on.
Right.
But he does have this disconnect with people. And I feel like this is another attempt to like me. Like, look how likable I am. Look how, I'm including the ball kids. We're, all this love and heart and, joy. But it still kind of comes off as fake a little bit. And it's just not. And so people are still, not relating to him because it's not from a genuine place.
Right. Yeah, and I think he's always felt really uncomfortable about the fact that Roger and to some extent Rafa just get way more love than he does.
Yeah.
Even though he's the number one player and he's beat them several times and I'm awesome and I'm the best and why doesn't everybody love me the same way? It's just like, because you keep trying to force it.
Marsha.
Yeah, that's what it's like. It's like he has like a huge chip on his shoulder about it. And I mean, obviously the people around him are also cultivating that as well, and they just shouldn't. It's just like, he has a lot of extremely diehard fans.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
There's millions of them, so it's not like he's completely unloved. And it's weird because his fans kind of have the same attitude, that even though he's won freaking everything, they go around harassing fans of other players going, well, you should like Djokovic now. You should think Djokovic is the best. Why don't you like Djokovic? Federer sucks. And it's just like, why do you care? Just like your guy. Just enjoy the moment. You're winning everything. Why are you so angry?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of fan bases have that, kind of negative reactions with when certain players and other fan bases.
Yeah.
It's a turf war.
Oh yeah.
It's
a
turf
sure.
war with those fan bases, and not just Novak's, with everybody's. But But yeah, it's tough when they all kind of have that why isn't anybody loving me kind of relation kind of fear and kind of that not fear but anxiety, I guess, of
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
I'm doing everything right. Why doesn't people love me? And I feel for him because he gets a lot more negativity than Roger and Rafa and it sucks and I never really understood it, but now I'm just like, all right, you're trying too hard now.
Yeah.
You got to be authentic to yourself. Think of yourself, think of your family, and just kind of let it happen. Like, you know how when Vika, everybody was kind of on her, and she won, and she started crying and let it all out.
Yeah.
And I think people kind of started to see her more sympathetically and realize that people were being very hard on her for no reason.
Right.
And I think, at least with me, like I started to see her more in a different way because you saw her authenticity. You saw how it affected her and how she handled it and it was more authentic. And I think that's kind of my thing with Novak that he needs to be, which I kept saying, authenticity is important.
Yes. And I think that's the same thing with Murray. When Murray cried when he lost Wimbledon, the year before he won it, um, a lot of people that were not Murray fans were like, he made me cry, and oh my God. And, and it was like, it was very meaningful to them because it was like, you saw how important it was to him. And
Mhm.
a lot of times people don't see players as human beings. It's just like some caricature that they've created, like he's the devil or,
Yeah.
he's, a troublemaker or whatever. And it's like you kind of forget that they're just people and they're just flawed the same way we are. And Nole's flaw seems to be that he just desperately wants people to love him.
Yeah.
And it's like, just back off of it a little bit, please.
Yeah. It's sad, but at the same time you're like, you know, just be yourself, dude. Just be yourself and, whatever happens happens and you have so many people that love you.
Yes.
You're in a good place. So, now more of the rain a little bit. I while I didn't like the heart, I did love Novak's champion photo shoot in the fountain with the umbrella because I think that really sums up the tournament. So I thought that was really cute. I don't know whose idea that was, but I thought that was just a really cute and fun touch.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And this is a good picture. It is really cute.
It's very sweet. And you were saying Boris's caption was weird.
Yeah, the morning after the night before, like, of what? I don't understand what he's saying.
It's the morning after the win.
The morning, yeah, but the morning after the night before. It's like the morning after the night before where he won, I guess. It's just like, I don't. It's the morning after the night before the morning. I mean, what does that even mean?
Did you watch the men's final? I did.
No,
Um,
I couldn't
I
bring myself to do it.
yeah. So it's Novak Djokovic versus Andy Murray. This match didn't really excite me at all. I wanted it to, but my motor did not run. Unfortunately, it just felt one sided. Like the score was 3-6, 6-1, 6-2, 6-4,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't really get into it. It just felt one sided. Like Novak was doing well at one point, and then Andy was doing well, and it just kind of was just like okay. But then again, after the women's final, I think it was set up to fail, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that was my thoughts on the men's match.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I actually like felt a little bad about this because everyone knows I'm not like a super Nole fan. Um,
Really, I couldn't tell.
it's like I try not to be a dick about it because I have Nole fans following me on Twitter, and so I try not to be extreme about it. I talk about when he does things that are good. I respect him, his playing level.
Mhm.
But I like a couple of years ago, I remember saying that, you know what, Noli can win the French now. He's waited long enough. Because, as a Fed fan, it was like, well, I don't want him to get it too soon because then he might have two and that'll just be wrong. He can't have more than Roger. But it's like it felt like he'd earned it. It was like there were a couple of times when he probably should have won it and he didn't. And so I was like, I'm ready. And honestly, when he played Stan, that was a good match.
Mm-hmm.
And if he had beaten Rafa, and then if he beat Stan playing like that I would have been excited about that. That would have been like a good win, and kind of another notch on his resume kind of a thing. And I could see celebrating that. But this, I felt so empty about this because it just felt inevitable.
Yeah.
It was just like no one's going to do a damn thing to beat him. It's like, I know people get mad about the weak era arguments and things like that, but it's like, really? The two guys that can battle him the most are, Roger's 34 and Rafa's, slowing down quite a bit from, a lifetime of injuries and stuff. And I said in the semifinals, Murray and Stan were playing each other, and Nole had a baby zebra. He played Dominic Thiem, who was in his first semifinal ever, and who was a young kid who's got some, some flash and some skill, but he is nowhere at that level. So it was kind of like, and then I'm like, you know what? Murray like completely goated against Stan, and I'm like, and then he's just gonna fall apart in the final, and that's what happened. And it was just like there was no glory in it, which is not Nole's fault. It's like you can only play who's there. I don't want to asterisk the tournament because he didn't beat Rafa. I don't believe in that crap. But it just didn't feel as exciting as it should have been, which on some level probably Nole's pissed off about too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I mean, like, I do have a lot of Fed fans on Twitter, but I try to follow a whole variety of people, and Twitter was just kind of dead while this was going on. There was not the level of excitement that there should have been or could have been. Yeah. So that was what it felt like to me. It's like I felt bad for not being more impressed by it.
I agree. Like it was such a great moment in history for Novak, and it just felt flat. Like I said, I just couldn't get into it, and I kind of kept going in and out of my room, like watching it and then like doing something else and then watching some more. So yeah, it fell flat, but I was highly entertained by Murray's speech after the loss, where he embraced the history of the moment in front of him while also letting everyone know it still sucks. and the balance was really beautiful, and I always enjoy Andy's sense of humor, which I've discussed many times on the show, and I just enjoy his delivery. It was just really great, so I was happy about that.
Yes. And there was agreement about that. I did see a lot of stuff about Andy after the final, but I said after Stan went out, I was already bitter.
Yeah.
But I felt good about Stan though, and I know he was happy about this too. Both slams that he's won, he's gotten to the semifinal the following year. So for title defense, I was like, if he gets to the quarters, I feel okay, because there were a lot of people that are going, oh, he's going to go out in the first or second round, and it's like, they weren't even talking about him as a contender until he got to the semifinal. It was like kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I was kind of bummed that he didn't get to the final again. But on the other hand, I wasn't quite sure he had the mojo going this tournament to beat Nole. And if he would have had to sit there through that whole Guga heart thing and all that, I would have been even madder. So I was partially grateful to Andy for sparing us from that.
Yeah, poor Andy, they kept showing him just on the bench.
Ugh.
Like he has to watch all the celebrations, and he's just like sitting there.
Yeah, and that was the thing that was also interesting to me, was because Nole was so big on Stan last year, because Stan was extremely understanding of how heartbreaking it was for Nole to win that match, to lose that match. And so Stan had a very subdued victory, and he went over and talked to Nole during it. He didn't do a big show, which he's done on both of his slam wins, because Rafa was injured in the first one. So Stan's never been able to have a really big celebration. And so to see that Nole turn around then when he won and do this whole production number while Andy's sitting there is just kind of like, ugh. So, I don't know. I probably shouldn't keep going on. All my Nole fans are hitting the unfollow button right now.
Yeah, they're probably pretty mad at us. Well, we had the women's final, which between Serena Williams and Muguruza, I think was the best match I've watched, not only like in this tournament, but like in a long time. And which I mean, I guess it might not be saying much because I haven't watched too much tennis.
The
But
bar is set really low.
yeah, but still, like I really enjoyed it, and I thought the tennis was great. It was a tight match. All throughout the match, like Mary Carrillo was even yelling, "I love this match" over and
Yes.
over, like every
Yes.
point.
Yes.
Like, and it's funny going into it because as we always talk about like predictability,
Yes.
and going into it, you kind of think, oh wow, Mugu's playing well. She came out in the lead early, but Serena's inevitable. It's just gonna happen. But like every time you thought, okay, Serena's gonna dominate now, Mugu would be like, not so fast.
Yes.
And just anytime you thought she was in trouble and Serena was gonna be Serena, it turned back around in her favor. And it was so impressive. And, I don't watch a lot of women's tennis. There are players I enjoy, like, and support, but I don't watch a lot. Please don't tell Stokowski I said that. But I really enjoyed it. I thought the match was great. And I loved her interview at the end, where she said, it's the Spanish anthem being played, but it's not Rafa. It's a girl. And it was just very sweet. And I just thought it was really cute. And, shameless self promotion. We have a new video with Mugu at outsidetheball.com, where we learn a little more about her and put her fans to a little trivia test. So there's that as well. But yeah, but anyway, the match was just amazing. I was really excited about it.
Yeah, and the impressive thing about it was that she kept so calm during it
She did.
because, like we said, the inevitability factor, that's what happens to a lot of players. As soon as Serena swats back a couple of returns for winners back at them, they kind of fall apart and lose the will to survive. And Garbine just kept plugging along. Like she just had this determined look on her face. Like, I'm just gonna play the next point. I'll just win that one. And she said in one of the interviews after the match that, they said, how did you not be nervous? And she's like, oh, I don't even know. She's like, I just kept telling myself to be calm and that you can win and to just keep playing. And she's like, I just kept telling myself over and over again. And it worked because she was just steely out there, which was really nice to see. And I know that I got called out in another podcast for this
Oh.
because I've said a few times that I like it when Serena has to actually play tennis. And they were angry that I was, implying that she normally doesn't. But it's the same thing about like with Nole winning everything. Serena, a lot of times, honest to God, she just has to stand in the middle of the baseline and everybody hits everything back to her and she just powers it past them for a winner. And it's not enjoyable to watch. And so she played Putentseva and she played this match and she actually had to like move all around the court and, volley up at the net and hit smashes and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, and then like you said, this was one of the best matches you've ever seen. It was amazing. It's like, because it was full tennis, she was challenged. And I say that a lot of times about the guys like Nole and Rafa. I enjoy them the most when they're pressed because like that's when their most amazing shots come out. When they're playing somebody that's like they know they're going to win, they're bored, and so therefore we are. So it's like I think sometimes people imply that I'm saying that Serena doesn't know how to play tennis. It's not that. It's just a lot of times she just really doesn't have to.
Yeah.
So this was nice to see a competitive, exciting final where you didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because in the back of my head, like I said, you just think, oh, Serena's going to be Serena at some point.
Right.
Like, sometimes you kind of forget that a little bit, and you're just like, oh my gosh, that point was amazing, regardless of where it came from.
Right.
The points were really great, and it was just a match. It was a battle.
Right.
And 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 I said on Twitter and I think on my Facebook, I kept saying, I don't care who wins, because it was such a great match that
Right.
regardless of who won, it would be amazing.
Right.
And it was just enjoyable. So that's why when I went to the men's match the next
Yeah.
day, I was like, I was spoiled. That we were all spoiled the day before.
Right. I
And I
agree.
think Mary Carrillo is probably still yelling, I love this match.
I know. She was. She was like in heaven. It was just
Yeah.
like, woo!
Every single point, she just went, I love this. I love this match. And she was just, everybody just was in their happy place. And it was great. And it's just, kudos to both of them for putting on a show. But yeah, it was nice to see that level of tennis and also to see a little bit of a shakeup.
Right.
That wasn't predicted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I was really happy about this. And I want to give a shout out to Garbine too for this trophy posing outfit. This is like awesome. It's perfect. It's like sexy, but it's also classy. I love the red shoes. She's just perfect. It's like a lot of times people are like too casual or they have too weird like nightclub dresses on standing in the middle of a park. It just like doesn't make any sense. So I just thought she was just perfect. So she did everything right.
Yeah, it was really great. So we can move on
Oh
to.
wait, I just wanted to say
No?
one other thing that was really
Okay.
cute about Garbina. When
Aw,
she
what?
had the trophy when she won, she took the
Yeah.
lid off and looked inside.
Did she?
Yes.
I know. I didn't see that. I saw she kept like kissing it and like caressing it, like you're my baby.
Yeah. But she peeked inside and somebody said, what if there'd been candy in there? And I'm like, that would have been awesome. I just fill up the trophy with candy.
That would have been great, like seeing her like stand off like in the corner while Serena's giving her speech and Garbina is just shoving jelly beans in her mouth.
Yes. Ooh, I like the red ones.
Yeah. Like this is fun.
I was like, maybe I should send them a note. I should do this for next year. Put something inside.
Yeah. Put like a live dove, like a magic show.
Oh my gosh,
Where
it
they
scared
open it
the
and
hell
a
out of
bird,
her.
a bird just flies out.
Maybe we'll do butterflies. That'll be less
Less terrifying.
less terrifying.
Less
Bubbles. A bunch
le-
of bubbles float out when you open the lid.
less Hitchcock. More cute.
Yes.
Sorry, my goth side must have came out there.
Okay, we can move on now.
Okay, so now we're in Zebratopia, which because the new movie is Zootopia, which is funny because in my notes I misspelled it and I typed Zebratopica. I was so scared I was gonna accidentally say that.
Oh, hilarious.
So yeah, we had the zebra. Oh, hey, Valerie, I have a joke for you.
Okay.
Okay, what's black and white and red all over?
What?
An Adidas sponsored tennis star playing on clay.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you. I wrote that as a caption for Outside the Ball's top 10s photos of the week, and I actually
Awesome.
made that into a graphic, but my boss preferred the Stan cupcake one.
Yes, we all
But I was
prefer Stan.
Yeah, I was really proud of that joke though, so I wanted to say it again.
That's awesome.
Uh,
Yeah,
so
the
yeah.
zebras were very polarizing. A lot of people did not like them. They thought it was insane. I thought it was great. It seemed to look better on some people than others. Um, for the men's, it seemed like the guys who were curvier looked better in it. Because the way the lines are cut, it kind of highlighted it. The beanpole guys kind of looked like they just had 700 stripes on them, and it was freaky looking. And the women, there was a couple different versions. Simona had one, and then Kiki and Anna. And Kiki and Anna had the ones that had the red suspenders down the back, which I thought was cool. And I don't know. I think that like the visors and Zverev had the headband, striped headband, kind of pushed it a little over the edge of maybe too much. But like the kits themselves, I thought they were cute. It was something different.
It didn't bother me, but I absolutely loved Simona Halep's black suspenders with like the skirt looking thing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love suspenders. So I loved the look of it. And it's funny because and I think it's good because we had so many zebra jokes and memes that came
Yes.
out of this, and I thought I would get so tired of it that like it would get overplayed, and it didn't. I laughed at every single zebra joke that I
Yeah.
saw on my timeline.
Yes.
Like weeks later, I'm still laughing. And so yeah, it good one Adidas because you got people talking and
Yeah, definitely. I like that there was they had ones with, zebras hugging and stuff like that when the Dom Zverev match and but
yeah.
the last one that I just saw was they had kind of like an albino looking zebra. He had very pale stripes and they said this is what Wimbledon Adidas is gonna look like.
Oh, that's so good. That's good. Kudos to whoever made that.
Yeah, so that's what I like. It's like, people say that like this stuff is, crazy and why would they do it? And it's like, but it's been so much fun. It's like people get so creative with their comments on these things. It was hilarious.
Yeah,
So
and Ernest Gulbis, who we'll talk about in a little bit. Spoiler. Um, they asked him, where's his zebra stripes, and he said Adidas didn't send that to him, and he didn't know if he should be relieved or disappointed.
oh yeah, I saw the one where he said I didn't get to choose.
Yeah, he didn't get to choose, so he had no idea how to feel about that. He didn't know if he was just like, "Yay!" or "Oh, I didn't."
I
Um,
think it was actually a good call because I think this seemed like the right amount of zebras. Because it's always like the Nike had those striped shirts that the young guys were wearing, and you saw like 200 people because the girls had almost the same ones. So it was like you were sick to death of it by the end of the tournament. So this was kind of like there were still a few guys that were still wearing those like turquoise Adidas ones and stuff, and so it kind of you didn't get overwhelmed by a zebra. So I thought that was a good call.
yeah, and I like kind of playing around with fashion and having different prints and colors and I hate like just the plain shirts and
Yes,
and I know a lot of people like would give crap to Burditch for the H&M prints sometimes and like the flower stuff
which I
but
loved.
I loved it. I wanted to buy it for myself. Like I
Yes.
I I really loved it. So sometimes I love when they kind of play around with different patterns and colors. So I didn't really mind the zebra print and like I said I loved the suspenders. I would totally wear that just around.
Yeah, and I feel like I've completely lost the point that I was going to make.
I'm sorry. I'm assuming it was about zebras.
Oh, it was about the fashion. I got it now. Twitter is a lot of times like not a barometer of what fashion decisions these companies should make. Because I've noticed that it's like a lot of times people on Twitter hate all of this kind of stuff. They hate prints, they hate bright colors, they hate all of the Stella McCartney stuff, and it's like, but everyone's buying it. So
Yeah.
I think your average tennis player that plays at the club and all that kind of stuff, that they like these exciting prints and stuff. They don't want to just go buy another white shirt. And so it's like a lot of times I always reading Twitter and I'm going, gosh, people in this world hate everything. And then it's like, well, they keep making it, so obviously they wouldn't make it if people weren't buying it. So um, I'm glad that Twitter doesn't seem to represent the general buying public.
Yeah, and on a different note, like I really love that we're getting more practice shirts like from Roger and Rafa and they're cute. They're
Yeah,
not plain, they have cute emojis, they have cute pictures like with Rafa and the headband. And I've kind of always said for years that I wish tennis players produce their own shirts for fans to buy and so I feel like we're starting down that path of seeing more shirts like that and like novelty stuff for fans and even players. Like Laura Robson and a lot of the other players are buying these practice shirts from Roger and
yes,
Rafa and I think that's really cute and I hope we see more of that not just from the top players but a variety of shirts at tournaments. Um, that you can buy, and these cute little novelty things. I've said that for years. I actually looked into starting my own t-shirt print company at one point
Oh, nice.
because I wanted to print my own t-shirts
Yeah.
and sell them at tournaments
There you go.
for fans, because there's not a lot of novelty stuff for fans to buy of their player. And that always irked me. So I hope this is the start of more fun kind of stuff for people and players to wear.
Yeah, and I hope they do more for the women because that's always been the shocking thing to me that Nike put out a lot of stuff for Roger and Rafa, sometimes with those, like cute logos and things like
Mhm.
that. And the like Maria and Serena, and there's nothing that's particular to them other than just their kits that they wear, which a lot of times you can't wear that stuff.
Yeah.
If you're not built like them or whatever, it's not that practical to wear around. It was like it would be nice to have, you know, just practice shirts and things like that that women could buy.
Yeah, I agree.
And they don't put the men's stuff. They finally, after we sent like 100 emails, they've made a few Roger and Rafa shirts in women's sizes because they don't do that either. And it's like you're
Yeah.
neglecting this whole section of the fan base that would buy the hell out of this stuff.
Yeah. I think tennis really has a novelty problem and
Yeah,
merchandise problem because like I said, I wanted to start my own company because I was just getting irritated. And I also thought like in wrestling, there's a company called Pro Wrestling Tees where independent wrestlers, have these different shirts designed. They either design them themselves or have fans that can design these shirts, and then they sell them themselves,
right,
and the money goes to them. And I thought doing something like that in tennis would be great for younger players who have a decent fan base, who they can get extra money in their pocket
right,
for selling these shirts. And I always wanted to do a company like that. And I always said, I would go to Cincy and all these places, and you can find shirts that have the tournament on them,
right,
but you can't really buy anything that is involving the players. And I think it's just a big money. There's money to be made here, and I don't know why either ATP or clothing lines don't kind of create a bigger merchandise line.
right. I totally agree.
And so yeah, let's make that happen, world.
That's right. And I think we're still supposed to talk about the rest of the tournament
Oh
here. Maybe
yeah,
make
yeah,
some notes about it.
definitely.
I know a lot of people really hated this year's French Open um, because of the players being out. No Roger, no Rafa. Azarenka retired early. Kerber went out in the first round. Um, I forgot to mention during the rain part that there was actually also a fire during one of Serena's matches,
Was
apparently.
there?
Yes. I saw a tweet about it. They said it was in front of her box, and her Patrick Moratoglu helped put it out. Just
There's a
like,
fire on the court?
yeah, apparently.
How?
No idea. They didn't have any details. They just said there was a small fire. It's like,
That's
so,
like, well, it's funny that there was a fire because last year when we started the show, there was the fire in Wimbledon in the
yes.
plant room.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is like a theme.
This time of year is fire season in the tennis world.
There you go, fire season. So, but yeah, a lot of people were disappointed, and the rain delays kind of made everything a mess, and also the tennis was kind of a lot of times really sluggish because of the courts being so wet. But some phenomenal matches happened during the 2 weeks, and I mean, one of the big stories was Kiki Bertens,
Yes,
the
definitely.
24-year-old Dutch player, uh, who was like ranked like 55 or something like that, and she
Mhm.
beat Kerber, Georgie, Kasatkina, Madison Keys, and Tamaya Baczynski. And at that point was carrying an injury, and she still only lost 7-6, 6-4 to Serena. This girl was insane. It's just like this run out of nowhere. And it was kind of an interesting thing because I had someone who asked me, they said, I've been watching her matches, how is she winning so much? And I said, I don't know. It was like such an interesting performance. It was just, I think, because she was just so steady that it was like any mistake her opponents made, she just pounced. She like never let up. She was just always there, always in the moment. And, you know, she hung in the rallies and then just, you know, hit a winner when she had the chance. And it was just kind of this like solid, focused, you know, on a mission performance.
Yeah.
And like, you know, she just never stopped to think about the fact that I'm not supposed to be here. You know, she just kept playing. And
She had a really cute picture that she posted on her Instagram, I think, after one of the matches, and she just had her hand on her head and like her eyes all big, like, what is happening? And it was just really cute.
it is, because it was just insane. It was like every round that she went, they're like, oh, she's gonna go out in this round. Oh, she's gonna go out in this round. You know,
Predictability.
yeah, predictability. And then you thought she was gonna get spanked by Serena too. You know, and she was obviously very physically hampered. And so she just couldn't quite, you know, push through any more than she did. But it was a valiant effort. So I'm hoping that she's not going to just like disappear into the ether after this. I hope this is like a kickstart us seeing more of her. And there were some other strange things like Perankova, who usually just kind of materializes on grass once a year, was the clay goat all of a sudden.
Oh.
She beat Irani, Sloane Stevens, and Aga Rabanska. And she finally got taken out by Stozer, who was having a miracle tournament. Everyone kept expecting Sammy to come out. You know, oh yeah, she'll be done soon.
Poor Stozer.
I know. I love Sammy, but she's a strange person. It's just she has a lot of power and talent, and matches just slip away from her. I think sometimes it's just her decision making fails her. You know, she goes for weird shots at weird times and just kind of loses control of a match. And everyone was really impressed with her in this tournament, that she was just really solid and same thing, like focused and knew what she wanted to do, had a mission. And she eventually lost to Muguruza, and a lot of people were, you know, then, oh, of course she went out or whatever. But Muguruza played an amazing match, just like she did in the final. I mean,
yeah.
Garbine was on fire, and so it's like I hope Sam didn't feel bad about that at all, because she really fought back in the second set and stuff. So I mean, she was playing good tennis. She just got beat by a better player. So, Shelby Rogers was a young American that people weren't, you know, everyone's always looking to Madison Keys and Sloane, and suddenly Shelby Rogers beats Pliskova and Kvitova and gets to her first quarters. So the women's side had a lot of exciting stuff going on and some really good matches. Aga, of course, is always the human highlight reel. She played good matches with Garcia and Streetsova, our favorite Babs. That was a amazing match, and that they didn't show on TV.
Ugh.
I probably thinks I'm a broken record, but I'm always complaining about Tennis Channel hates Stan. If there's anybody on court 17 playing, they will show them instead of Stan, who's, you know, playing on the main court. But Aga really got the short end of the stick this year. She was playing all these ridiculous matches where every point was a winner, and they were showing some kind of boring ass men's match instead.
I was furious when we had Tennis Channel and NBC Sports airing French Open matches, and they showed the same match on both channels.
Yes.
And it just made me furious, because I mean, just why? Why are you doing that? I don't understand why they had to torture us that way.
Yeah, I guess that they just consider themselves separate entities, and they just consider their own audience. And so they both just go, well, they both obviously want to watch Serena. And it's like, well, Serena's breadsticking this person. Show something else for, you know, a few games or whatever. But it's like, it would be really nice if they coordinated, because it was like, oh, if you want to watch this match, it's on this station. And if you want to watch this one, it's on here. It's like, I don't know why a little communication isn't helpful to tennis fans.
I mean, maybe because Tennis Channel is a premier channel where you have to pay for it.
Yeah,
and and NBC Sports is kind of basic. Um, I think most people would have it, but it's frustrating for us who have both.
yes,
And we're just like, we want to watch a variety of matches, and it's a shame. And I love that DirecTV, the first week of the tournament will show like 6 different courts,
right.
but that's only for the first week. And
Yeah,
then the
no,
second week, you're stuck watching whatever, Tennis Channel or NBC gives you. And it's just, I wish they would keep that going.
yeah, and what was bad was that ESPN gave up on the French Open this year. And so I always counted on ESPN because ESPN3 online would have all the other
Mm,
courts.
yeah.
And they still do asinine things where it's like, well, NBC is going to take over coverage, so they would just cut off matches in the middle of the match, even online, which I thought was insane. I never understand how those rights things work. It's like no one's showing this, so why can't they show it online? I honestly feel like the tournaments should all have streaming on their websites at slams because it seems ridiculous to me that a lot of these matches just go unseen. It just feels completely wrong to me. It's like these are the biggest tournaments of the year, and it's like, oh, we don't need to televise that. There's cameras there, but no one can see it.
Yeah.
And so, and then, they get mad about people watching illegal streams and everything, and it's like, well, there's no other way for us to watch it.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
you know, Tennis Channel is pushing their Tennis Channel Plus thing, but some people said they weren't showing all the courts, so they were pretty mad about that.
I refuse to pay for Tennis Channel on television and then pay for it again
Yes,
in their app or whatever they have. I
yes,
refuse to do that. I think it should be like, which we've talked about before, and I just
yes,
rant about it, that it should be like HBO and other these premiere channels, that if you have a subscription, you are able to see the online content as well.
yeah,
I think it's a huge ripoff to make people pay for both.
yeah. No, I agree, and I think a lot of people feel that way. They've been doing a lot of stuff where they're offering discounts and all kinds of things, and they've started where they're pushing premier matches onto that to like try to force people to buy it because everyone feels the same way because it is we're paying like a huge amount for cable already so that we can have Tennis Channel.
Yeah.
I'm paying for Tennis TV. Some people are paying for, European, streams and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like, and then pay for Tennis Channel Plus also. It's like, I have no more money to give.
Yeah, and I hate, like, we have Netflix, we have Hulu, we
Yeah.
have so many subscription services.
Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, how much more shit can I pay for?
yeah, it's rough. It's a rough year to be a TV fan.
Yeah.
Because it's funny because I absolutely love the Mindy Project, but since it went to Hulu, I have not watched it because I buy Netflix, and I also buy a geek um, subscription service called Loot Crate. So I have other monthly expenses, and I just can't afford to buy every monthly
Right.
TV subscription. I just
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And I don't know where that's going to end because it's like a lot of the networks are going to that where that's, having these
Mhm.
extra things you have to pay for.
Yeah.
And it's like ostensibly to like replace cable. And it's like, but we all still have to have cable too. So then now we're just
Yeah.
paying double for everything.
Yeah. And I forgot, I also have CISO, which is a comedy television subscription. And I also have a wrestling subscription, which I don't
Oh my
use
God.
very much. I should probably take it off. But uh yeah, I have so many things that I have to buy, and it's rough, and I just think it's a rip off Tennis Channel's doing that. So
Yeah. And I know that a lot of times when I'm mad about the stands not on TV, people are like, well, you can watch it online and watch it here. And I'm like, we bought a big TV
yes.
for the
Thank you.
very reason that we could watch tennis on it. That was like we were purposely looking at that because like how's the movement of the ball going to look on this screen? How many pixels does it have and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm sitting in front of the TV with a match on I don't give a shit about and watching the match I want on my laptop or my phone. It's just like ah.
I agree. Some people love watching stuff on their phone or their laptops. I'm still a TV person.
Yeah.
Like, I still love having things on my television. And I don't know. I guess we're a dying breed, apparently.
Yeah, seems like it, but it's like I want as big as I want Stan's ass to be as big as possible
Exactly.
in
Preach.
full color.
Yeah. Preach, man. Preach.
So, I don't know. Did you want to talk about that Ernie had a good tournament?
Well, coming up next is our Ernest School Bus coverage. So we will go into that. I will. Oh, well, first we'll talk about Stan.
So we're talking Stan. I had this stuff on here because this was kind of a continuation of the, Nole fans basically celebrate everything he does, and so they've been kind of angry that people didn't like his celebration with the ball kids and all that kind of stuff. And they were saying, well, no player ever interacts with the ball kids except to say, give me the towel. And so we put this in here that during Stan's match with Troitsky, Troitsky had an MTO. And Stan said, I was a little bit bored, so I started chatting with the ball kid. And he said, I asked him if he played tennis, and he did. So he had a hit with the kid so that he could stay warmed up. And everybody loved it. They were totally entertained. The kid really had fun. And I was just thinking when I was watching this the other day that it was actually also a secondary thing that no one was watching Troitsky getting worked on the court. Because that's always a really awkward thing. I love this where Stan was trying, give me that racket back. That's my rackets. Give me the rackets. The poor kid's like, you want the tennis ball? It's like, no, give me that racket. I still need that.
I know. That was really funny.
But yeah, I just thought that, because a lot of times it's like some guy's getting his groin rubbed or something and the camera's in there and everybody in the crowd's watching you and it's really awful. And so I thought this actually was kind of a nice distraction from Stan. I don't know if that was part of his intent or just that he was bored because that's Stan. Stan's mind tends to wander. But it was really cute and it was just a natural thing. Stan did not have this planned beforehand.
Yeah, it was just hey,
let's have a hit.
You want to hit? And the kid did really good too.
Yeah, he was.
And the crowd was cheering the whole entire time. So
yes.
And he stayed in there.
Yeah, I always love that when every time the kid hits the ball and it goes over the net, the crowd cheers because it's like, yeah,
you did it.
You didn't embarrass yourself. Awesome. We're all feeling for the kid because it's whenever it lands in the net, everybody goes, oh.
Because we're rooting for him.
Yeah.
That was really funny. It's really cute. And speaking of more ball kid interactions, we had Ernest who, during a little stoppage because of the rain, offered the kid to sit under the umbrella with him. But it's a little funny because the kid's not really under the umbrella very much.
He's intimidated by Ernie. He doesn't know if he can get that close to greatness.
Yeah.
Because the kid does look so impressed with him. He's just totally looking at him hey.
And Ernest just looks like a statue.
Yes.
He looks very sexy.
He does. It's
serious.
Super badass. I am the man.
Look at me with this badass umbrella.
I am so fucking suave. So I just love goat bis too. That just cracks me up.
Yeah, definitely.
Jess has a lot of great pictures from matches and things like that, and this cracked me up because this kid wasn't being manhandled.
No, opposite.
Yeah, wasn't being forced to do anything. Because I noticed a lot of people did comment about that, and I kind of felt it too, that every time there was a rain delay, these poor ball kids had to stand and hold the umbrella so the player wouldn't get wet. But meanwhile, they were getting totally soaked. And it's some of these kids are 9 years old, and it's you're making this poor kid hold an umbrella over, it's
yeah.
It's one of those things when tennis traditions sometimes get a little awkward. So I thought this was really cute when Ernie was like, hey, why don't you get under this umbrella with me?
Yeah, and it's nice that he held it too.
Yes.
He didn't say, just sit here so we can share, but you keep holding it.
Yes.
He held it himself, and it reminded me of one of my friends. This was many, many years ago. One of my friends took a picture with Ernest, and she had a Latvian flag, and he goes, "You hold it. I'm too tired." And and, and so she got embarrassed and kind of just put it behind her back.
Oh,
So so it was nice that he held the umbrella
yeah.
for the kid. But yeah, this tournament has been a little bit about the epic rise of Ernest Gulbis.
Yes.
Ernest's career looked really grim lately,
Yes.
to put it mildly. And, he had many fans talking again about, is this the end? And, and Ernest cut ties for a second time with Gunther Bresnik, who I really love. But it's understandable because Gunther's main focus is Dominic Thiem.
Yes.
And Ernest wants someone who could be with him, on a regular basis, constantly. And I mean, he beat Andrea Seppi, Joao Sosa, and he had Tsonga in the third round. And unfortunately for Tsonga, he injured himself during the match. He was winning the match and injured, and had to give the match away to Ernest, which was sad. It's always tough to watch players get injured and struggle on court. And Ernest is always so gracious, like when that happens.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
always very sympathetic to his opponents. And then Ernest went out in the next round to Goffin. But it was definitely such a great week for him, and one of the best results I think we've seen in some time from him.
Yes. And I liked that. I felt like we were seeing more of his usual tennis. He looked more like himself out there because he's had that bad shoulder injury and stuff where it was like he just couldn't even hit the ball at all.
Yeah.
And so in this tournament you really got to see him serving big and hitting big forehands and really going for stuff and moving around the court well, and it was like, this is why I used to love watching him.
Yeah.
This is more of his usual game. It's kind of exciting to see, and because I was one of the people that were like, this, he might be done, because he was saying that the shoulder was messed up and they wanted to do surgery. It would be the only way to fix it, and he didn't want to do it. And I'm like, well, is that going to be it then? Maybe he's toast,
Yeah.
And so to see him kind of coming back and playing this well has been nice. And I'm happy if he gets another coach, because he was playing second fiddle to Dom way too much. It starts to get like embarrassing. Like, I think my coach is always with the better player. That's not helping you at all.
No.
And
Yeah.
and he said that in an interview. He says, I don't mind being like second, third place to my coach. I understand he has a life and other responsibilities. He goes, but it can't be all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it got too much, and he broke ties with him last year, I think, around kind of the summer months, and he was looking for a new coach for a while, or maybe it was before that, maybe it was in the spring, um, and it didn't work out. Like he tested different coaches and it didn't work out. So it'll be interesting what happens here and who he's able to find to work with him.
Yeah. That'd be funny if he got Lundell.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
That would be volatile. It would be extremely
Yeah,
volatile.
no, I don't think that would work out very well. And I remember when he first, at one point when he was looking for a coach, because he had, shopped around coaches for a while. Um, at one time during a coach change, people kept suggesting Brad Gilbert. And I just kept going, do you understand how bad that would be?
Oh my God.
Because Brad Gilbert is such a no nonsense type of dude. And like, there's no way that Ernest is crazy and Brad Gilbert's crazy would go together.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Yeah,
would
that'd
be
be a
the
bad
worst.
mix. Yeah.
And I can't remember, I don't know how, there was a lot of people suggesting it, and they are stupid. They do not know Ernest at all.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's interesting. And we had, is there anything else you want to say about his matches, or?
No, I think
Okay.
we're good.
Because we have this article where Ernest was talking about the treatment of players, and Valerie, well, I'll have her go through some of the quotes and things from the match. But Ernest was speaking out about the differences of treatment between players and like the ranking system, and it's not anything new for him. He has talked about it before, and other players as well in certain ways. And I think a lot of the players have been speaking out even more now, just
Yes.
across the board. Because you had Kyrgios do it. Almagro was kind of saying a little bit. And
Yes.
it's been an issue, I think, for a long time, both in terms of like basic treatment at events, like only tournament cars for higher ranked players.
Right.
And now like especially the consistency in enforcing rules like during a match.
Yes. And I love this tournament too because Ernie was playing better that he actually started to get to have a voice again.
Yeah.
And so we got to hear more of his awesome interviews and press and things because he is way more interesting than a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was talking about he says, because he had played well here, did he get to a semi? He'd gotten a semi, I think, here previously. And he says, it's such a
Yeah.
different world when you're playing well, when everybody wants you in their tournaments, when everybody puts you on the good courts, when everybody tries to please you. Which is that pretty girl syndrome we talked about with Roger. Everyone's always so nice. He says, and then, come 2 years ago, I played semifinals here, and this year, players who play on court 18, they've been treated like shit. And he goes, I asked, is this a nice court for the match? And they said, no, go on the court. And he says, the coaching staff doesn't even have a spot to sit to watch the match, which I heard other players say that too, that they were kind of stunned that they were out on those courts, and they're like, and my coach didn't, because it was only like standing room only or something, and so their coach couldn't even watch them. And he said, I feel a little bit disrespected because everybody goes out there, they put out their best. We have to play in snow like in Munich. You have to play in cold weather, hot weather. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. We go out there, we give our best, and then it's definitely not a democratic attitude at all. Let's see this. Oh, yeah. He says, when you start young, everything goes your way. You don't really notice that everyone is kissing your ass for no reason at all. Just because you're a good tennis player and you supposedly live all your life and you expect brown nosing from people. Roger.
Yeah. Love that.
And he said, tennis society has the shortest memory. You play bad for a couple of months and that's it. Maybe not if you're the top 3 or top 4 guys who have been playing consistently well, but not guys like me. And he gave a little shout out to Grigor that, Grigor is a good player and he's struggling a little bit. And he goes, how long is it going to take people to treat him differently? Because if he's going to play another year very bad, then he's in the same position like me. Sometimes it's unfair, but it gets you motivated to get back. But you realize much more of the people around you.
Yeah, and I love his other quote towards the top where he says, people in my situation have to beg for practice courts to get a court alone for 1 hour anytime during the day. And then you see seated players who are there for 2 hours alone with a coach. How can you compete? We have 1 hour with 4 people on court against a guy who has prepared well. Everything's perfect. So I think that's a good point about how differently the top players are able to prepare for these younger ranked players. And we expect these young guys to challenge the top guys. But and I'm not saying that's it. But
right,
I'm
it's
saying
a
that
factor. It's a factor.
yeah, it's definitely something that we need to think about, how we want these young guys and we want these lower ranked guys to compete against these top guys, but yet they're not really having the same opportunities as other people are. And it could be said like using schools, the different school districts, how some are at a disadvantages to others, but yet we rate them at the same level.
Right.
So
yeah, no, that's true. And I have seen that where the guys have 4 guys on a court practicing, and then that's what it is you're practicing against some guy that maybe isn't going to be helpful to you. You're practicing against a lefty when you're going to be playing a righty, or, this guy's maybe ranked 365, and so that's not going to be that helpful. And plus 4 guys on a court is just insane. You can't practice the same way you would if you have the court to yourself. I mean,
yeah, because you have to stay in your own little strip.
Yeah, I don't even know how
around.
they do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And the other thing too is, like he said, playing on these shitty outer courts, it's also, it's the atmosphere for one thing. Like, people are just walking by the whole time you're playing. You get the lesser line judges and you get the 3-year-old ball kids. There's these added difficulties.
Sorry, 3-year-old ball kid.
They get smaller and younger and don't know what they're doing as the farther out in the courts you get. I mean, the slams probably aren't quite as extreme as some of the. I know Cincy's like that. It's like, oh my god, this kid doesn't even know how to walk yet. And
I know. When you said that, I just see this toddler sitting there drooling on the ball, like gnawing on it like a teething ring.
Honestly, it's not that far. It's like sometimes it's like I saw a player one time yell at a ball kid, and I'm like, he's 6. It's like he doesn't know anything. He's in kindergarten. So. It's not just that. It's that a lot of times they say that the courts play completely differently. Like, these are like, twice as fast as the center court, or, a lot of times they're slower or whatever. They're more worn out. So it's like this now. So this person's been playing on these outer courts the whole tournament, and if they manage to get their ass to center court to play a semifinal, they're at a huge disadvantage because they're playing somebody who's played every match on that court, or at least most of them. So the whole system has been designed to keep those top guys at the top.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's acknowledged enough. It's like we complain about how these guys get to, win everything, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, the deck is kind of stacked against guys breaking through.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, it's not just tennis. I mean, there are other sports that stack the deck.
Sure.
Especially, I watch bull riding, and there's some conspiracy theories a little bit about the judging because they're based on scores. And the Americans will get higher scores than some of the Brazilian riders. Or they change the rules to try and hinder some of the Brazilians that have different riding styles. And there's different things like that where you definitely see the deck being stacked. And then when you speak up, they're just like, oh, you're just conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're just mad because your player or rider didn't win, but it's nice to see that some of the players are speaking out a little bit more vocally, and I don't really see anything changing, but who knows?
Yeah, and that brings up another thing too, that there was that situation where Nole bounced his racket in frustration and it flew out of his hand and nearly hit a linesperson. And the linesperson matrixed their way away from the racket and managed to not get hit. But there was a lot of talk about that if it had hit them, that technically that's an automatic default. And then people were arguing over, would they have ever actually defaulted Nole? In this French Open, would that actually happen? Or would they find some loophole, some way around it? Whereas if it was, on court 18 and it was Ernie, they would probably immediately go, you're out, you're done. So that's kind of another way, because it's like even less important things like, getting fined for swearing or whatever. We know that's never distributed fairly.
Yeah.
But this was a situation where it was like, that could really drastically change things. And there were a lot of people that were like, yeah, there's no way they would ever have defaulted Nole.
Yeah, I think maybe if he drew blood.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said if he actually drew blood, they'd have to.
I think they wouldn't have a choice. Like with Nalbandian when he kicked the thing, he didn't mean to hurt the umpire or the lines person, but he drew blood. So I mean, there was no excuse. They had to.
Yeah.
So I would assume that if he drew blood, they couldn't get out of it.
Yeah, because I saw a challenger match where a guy bounced his racket against the back wall, and it bounced off the wall and landed on the linesperson's back. And I mean, it wasn't hard or anything like that. It was just like a mild ricochet. And the woman crumpled down to the ground and started screaming as if she'd been, like a bomb had landed on her.
Oh my God.
And he got disqualified just for that. And it just landed on her. It didn't strike her or, she really put on the Hollywood routine.
Which pulls talk a little bit more later.
Yes.
Give
Yeah.
out they're going for the Oscar.
Yes. So it has happened in matches, but I kind of where I think we're on the same page where it's like if he had drew blood, I don't think they'd have a choice, but otherwise I think they'd probably try to finagle their way out of it,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
and then Ernie would be really mad.
Oh boy. Did you see? We didn't talk about this when he was playing Goffin and the rain came down, and the umpire was arguing with Goffin. And Ernest packed up his stuff and started to walk off court, and he tapped her and said bye. And then she goes, no, no, we're not getting off court, and she had to grab him and like
Yes.
push him back to his side of the thing.
Yes, that was Eva. I love that. She grabbed him by his arm, and I love that he just went, okay. It's just kind of like he didn't really fight her on it, but they were both mad. Goffin was like totally going off. All the umpires had their hands full in this tournament because people were really mad about the rain
Yeah.
delays, about people who wanted to stop, who didn't want to stop, who thought they stopped at a bad point, thought they should have stopped an hour ago. This tournament was really rough on umpires.
Yeah, and I mean they went back to their bench and then finally the umpire said, "Okay, we're going to get off court." But then they told Simona Halep that Goffin and Gulbis just left out of protest and
Yeah.
just walked off court, which I don't think that's really exactly what
No.
happened. But Simona Halep goes, "Good for them."
Yes.
Like, so yeah, that's a lot of interesting stuff happened this this week's.
Yeah, there were a lot of angry players speaking out, which doesn't happen a lot. And they were
No.
saying a lot of things like they don't care about the players, they only care about money. They sounded like Rafa, who had said that like several years ago. Everybody was chiming in the same way that they don't care about us.
Mhm. So we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about Roger and Tommy.
Tommy! Oh my
Which,
god.
right? Like, I love how I just go, oh my God. So, first of all, Tommy Haas has now been named the new tournament director at Indian Wells.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Is this like so out of left field or what?
Yeah,
I
like, we saw that come in.
Yeah, and I have to say I absolutely love Tommy. Um he seems like an intelligent man, but it's kind of a leap to go from player to tournament director without any obvious stepping stones in between. And so I know a lot of people have been like, really? What are his qualifications? Is he actually going to do a good job at this? And then there was also a lot of talk about he's not necessarily that much of a feminist either. Because I guess he's made some remarks about women's tennis in the past. But I'm willing to wait it out.
You know what? I'm not so hard on people who have said more kind of sexist things or not really as feminist in the past because I wasn't either. I would say things that a feminist would not say, and I've learned over the years. And so I would hope that he has kind of grown up and really kind of changed with the times and, you know, um, changed those views since. Because I know even Murray, has changed his views over the years, and a lot of people are kind of growing up and seeing things in a different light. Um, because a lot of people, I think, didn't think that they were uh, sexist or
Right.
didn't think that they said anything wrong and are since now learning, about language and about how, what things mean, I guess. And
Right.
so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I think maybe the good thing about him going from player to tournament director maybe is that he's more in touch with the players
Yes.
and more in touch with their needs and maybe might help the gap that we just talked about.
Well, yeah, because he has kind of been on both sides of it. He's been ranked number two, and then he's been, off with injuries, and then having to fight his way back up in the rankings and playing smaller tournaments. And so he has kind of seen both the highs and the lows. So he can kind of appreciate both sides of those arguments. And also, I also too don't like to condemn any man that says anything negative about women's tennis. I don't think people should ever have to say only positive things so that they don't seem bigoted in any way. You know, if there are legitimate criticisms to make about the women's game. So if someone puts forward something that's just a reasoned argument, even if I don't agree with it, I don't care if they say stuff about women's tennis. The things like Raymond Moore said,
Yeah.
like so many obnoxious things in a row, all on top of each other, that just showed complete condescension and, you know,
Abuse.
just, yeah, abuse, just ickiness, you know, that I'm offended by. So I don't like this thing where it's like any guy that's ever said anything about women's tennis, we have to write them off as they're an asshole. I don't want to do that. And Tommy has a very strong wife.
Yeah.
So I can't really imagine, you know, him disparaging women in any way, you know.
And his daughter is starting to play tennis.
Right.
His daughter has been working with uh oh gosh, I just forgot his name. Baltieri?
Oh, Valtteri, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I just forgot his name. I blanked for a second. I didn't write it in my notes. But yeah, his daughter was working with him, and she's starting to play tennis. So, you know, I think everybody kind of evolves, hopefully, to the good, and because he's so in tune with the players as just being a player, I would hope that it would be a better fit than it's certainly going to be a better fit than Raymond Moore.
Yes.
I mean, that wasn't a very high bar to jump over.
Yes.
So it's interesting. And it's interesting about, there's that whole discussion about, is he retired now?
Yeah, what he had said was that he still wants to try to come back and play a few tournaments or at least one, because he still wants to go out, you know, like he wants to have his moment. Like,
Yeah.
here's the last match I played and I played it well.
Yeah.
And he says that won't be till next year. So a lot of people were like, is he going to give himself a wild card to Indian Wells? Which would be interesting. And I'm thinking, there maybe not be any rules against that.
Yeah, I didn't know, because I didn't know if people were talking about the rules of, like, you can't be a tournament director if you're an active player, or, you know what I mean? I didn't know, because a lot of people were making a big deal out of it, so I didn't know if there was.
I don't think that there necessarily is. And the thing about tournament directors, I'm sure there are things that you have to do year round, but I mean, really, you're really needed for 2 weeks, you know? So for him to be playing in the tournament and be tournament director at the same time, I don't know if that he would even want to do that, but he might play before then.
Yeah.
And finish up before he gets to that. That was kind of what my idea of it was he sort of lined up his next job. So he wants to try to finish up the tennis and then he'll go to that. So I'm not that concerned about that. That doesn't upset me. Because I don't think he's, you know, it's not like he's going to be playing for 5 more years and be tournament director at the tournament he's playing at. I don't see that happening.
I don't either. But a lot of people freaked out.
Yeah.
On Twitter, you know, because Twitter's the place to freak out about everything.
Yes. But this, I wanted us to use these pictures because I was happy to have Roger back and really happy to have Tommy. Has such a beautiful game. I hope we do get to see him play again.
Sorry, I didn't expect you to say game.
Well, I was getting to that. There's always, you know, the thing about Tommy tends to play commando, and his ass always looks fantastic. And well, here we go, front and center.
It's just you saying he has a fantastic game.
Game.
I went, oh, I didn't expect that direction.
His backhand is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and him and Roger played on this rooftop, and I don't know if you've seen the video, but it's like anxiety inducing.
Yes.
I don't like Roger did a tweener, and they're like doing all this crazy stuff, and I'm just like, ugh.
I know. It's like when they do that stuff in Dubai, and it's like there's no railings, and they get away from the edge. I don't.
And there's a thing with tennis players falling out of buildings. Like, it's happened where multiple tennis players have fallen out of hotel windows.
Seriously?
Yeah. hmm
Doing what?
I think one might have been sleepwalking,
Oh, jeez.
and the other one locked himself, or he couldn't get out of the bathroom, like the bathroom door broke, so he crawled out of the window trying to get to the balcony, and he fell.
Oh, jeez.
There have been a couple cases where tennis players have fallen out of windows, and it just, it drives me crazy. So, and I think I'm a little scared of heights. Like
Yeah.
I've never like I've been up on the Empire State Building a bunch of times, and that's never bothered me. But I think like when there's not like railings, or
Yeah.
there's not. I don't like being high up, and like I don't like climbing on ladders.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a little scared of heights, you guys.
Yeah, it's unsteadiness. Well, to me, it's a logical fear because my thing has always been I don't like heights and moving. So that's like why I don't like roller coasters and stuff. It's like if I go up to the top of a tall building or the St. Louis Arch or whatever, that doesn't bother me. But if you're playing tennis on top of a tall building with no railings, that freaks me the shit out. Or like I said, roller coasters or driving on the edge of a cliff. But it's just that's self-preservation.
Yeah,
That just
and
seems sensible.
like Roger was running and did that tweener.
Yes.
And you're just like, what if you can't stop? Like, what are you gonna grab onto?
I know. What if the grass is slippery? He just
Yeah.
fell down today in the match.
Yeah, like it just watching the video, I thought it was really cool, but at the same time, like I had like 3 anxiety attacks.
This took 3 years of Courtney's life.
It did. It did. I was just like, oh my God. Oh God. Oh God. Oh, that's cool. Oh God. Oh God. Yeah. So that was weird.
So that's the news about Tommy. So we're hoping we'll see him play next year. Fingers crossed.
All right, so I have to switch tabs so you can continue to talk about Rafa and Tommy's butt if you'd like.
Talk about butts.
Talk about butts. I was saying earlier that I'm surprised we don't have like a peach segment.
Yes.
And an
aubergine segment. Yeah.
I'm surprised we just haven't.
We haven't stooped that low.
Yeah. So now we're in Insta goodness. We're done with all the drama, and well, we're not completely done with drama, but
no.
Main topics. We're never done with drama. Drama and ass is our forte.
That's our MO. Drama and ass, the night session. Oh, here we start out with the tongue.
I'm not going to say what I just had in my head. Anyway, so Stan Wawrinka.
Why not?
is looking. Okay, I was just going to say I'm surprised nobody photoshopped boobs.
You don't know that they didn't.
True, but I have not seen it on my timeline. Yeah. So, I mean, if anyone did that, feel free to send it to me.
Courtney wants to see.
I appreciate Photoshop magic. I'm an art enthusiast, and
art enthusiast. That's amazing.
Photoshop is a form of art.
The Maria's tribunal would totally rake you over the coals for that euphemism.
Also, I love how that took you a while.
It did. It'll work its way out to me.
It did. It was okay. It got there. That's what matters.
My husband always says that to me. It took a while, didn't it? It's like sometimes my brain takes a little extra time to process, but I'll get there.
And like you didn't laugh, and I was just like, "Oh, I guess that joke bombed." And then like,
and then, yeah, I've got my brain so full of ass. A lot of times you got to push all that aside. So, what were you going to say about Stanley?
So Stan, I've fallen in love with Stan, you guys. I said this our last episode, but it's like really getting like to a point I did not expect it to be. And like he's so adorable. Look at him.
I know.
He's such a weirdo. I love it.
No.
Like he's obsessed with emojis. And he
Yes.
uses ones that most of the time they don't make sense, other times they do. He loves the eye roll emoji, and I don't think
Yes.
he realizes it's an eye roll emoji.
No, because I think he uses it for thinking.
Yeah. It,
Because he did that about I had to do my interviews today, and he did the thinking one and then the eye roll, and I went, well, that sums up Stan's opinions on interviews.
yeah.
But I don't think he meant it that way.
No, and then the one with like he had the trophy, like he was thinking about the trophy, and he was like
Yeah.
looking up at the trophy, but that's an eye roll, Stan.
Yes.
So funny, like he's being sassy and he doesn't even know it. And
Yes.
like it's adorable and like look at him. Look at this buffoon licking his cupcakes. The
I know.
smallest cupcakes I've ever seen.
I know.
Those are not American cupcakes.
No, definitely not. They're definitely in France. But they're so cute.
I
Just
know.
like Stanley.
Yeah, and like just him licking it is just hilarious. Like he's not just like holding it and smiling like, "Look at these." He's like, "No, you gotta lick it."
And I like how he's got the like saliva emoji apparently. He's like drooling.
Yeah, yeah, it's really funny and just he's a hoot.
And someone conjectured, I think it was Katie that conjectured that he uses the panda emoji because he's the panda. Which would kind of make sense that Benoit uses the panda emoji so much. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah, yeah.
And Donna Vekic has a panda phone case.
Yeah, and they always use Kung Fu Panda gifs.
Yeah.
So
So
like when Stan posted the Kung Fu Panda gif of him saying like when I'm upset I eat. And like it's like himself.
yeah, yeah, so he's the panda.
So they're really obsessed with pandas.
Yeah, so I'm like, I could understand being obsessed with it if Stan's the panda. So yeah, this was just this is when I love Stan. Stan is like adorable, mildly erotic, and weird all at the same
I love it.
time.
That's my dream dude.
I know.
That's what I look for in a man.
Yes, I want you to be erotic and weird.
Yes. Yes. That's just find me a man like that that's single.
Yes, it helps he's so damn cute.
Yeah, it's funny, I wasn't attracted to him until I started to get his silliness and his relationship with Donna. Like those two things, like just well, and three things which we'll get into in
Okay.
this next piece,
Okay.
which we can switch over to if you're finished
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
oogling the
ready.
cupcakes. So there was this wonderful article, which Valerie will certainly go on about this, but I just want to point out I am now in love with Stan because one, his Twitter, and I found out he's silly and weird. Two, his relationship with Donna, which is really cute because they just bust each other's balls the whole time. Like
Yes.
they send each other like they're not like all sweet and cute. They're like she posted a picture where she was jumping in front of the Eiffel Tower and he goes, "That's not a very big jump."
Yes.
And they later on he posted a photo of him doing it. And like but they just kind of make fun of each other. Like when he finally wins like a 5-set match, she's like, "Well, finally."
Yes.
Enough. And they just bust each other's balls, and that's like my type of humor where you just like joke and kind of playfully make fun of each other. And so I just kind of and they're the only two that I've seen do that.
Right.
And so I just think that's the sweetest thing. And so I'm like, "Oh, I want to date him now." And then in this article, it talks about how he grew up on a farm with alpacas.
Yes.
And I am madly in love with alpacas and llamas. Like all my life I've wanted alpacas or llamas. So like he just checked all my boxes and now I'm like, let's go get married and have alpacas and make fun of each other and eat those tiny little cupcakes and, and just be weird. That's what I want, you guys.
There you go. Yeah, I love this is actually a really nice article. There's some interesting things about that, his parents help disabled people working on the
Oh,
farm and stuff. It's really it's a cool upbringing and it explains a lot about why Stan's kind of a little bit more of a sensitive guy on tour. But they've always talked about this, Stan grew up on a farm and blah, blah, blah. In a freaking castle. It's kind of like puts a different perspective on it. It's like, and I don't know if he necessarily lived in the castle or if it's just on the property, but it's kind of, I said this, why King Fed gets along with Stan.
Yeah.
Because apparently Stan is also royalty. It's like when they always talk about Rafa being the humble island boy, and then they show him fishing on a yacht. It's like we don't necessarily really have the right picture of how these guys' upbringing was.
Yeah.
But yeah, picturing Stan frolicking in the fields with alpacas, that doesn't sound like a bad life.
Right? Like, I just want to go take a photo shoot, like, in front of the castle, like, on a step somewhere. I'm guessing there's steps somewhere. And, like, with my pet alpaca, and, like, in a fancy dress, and, like, do, like, a really cool photo shoot.
You have to have the pointed hat on it with the veil, like, from the Middle Ages.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's
Medieval
amazing.
alpaca.
Medieval alpaca. He's got to have one on, too.
He'll be like the jester.
There
My
you
little
go.
jester boy. With, like, bells on his hat.
Or you could have a fez on with the little tassel.
Yeah. Like, I dream.
Yeah.
Stan just brings out, like, a different thing in me. With all this, with alpacas and his jokes and his little tiny cupcakes. Like, it's just a different world with Stan, and I'm totally on board now. So it took a year, but Valerie has converted me.
I know, I have people on my Twitter telling me that a lot of times. They're like, I like Stan now. I really didn't like him before. It's like, you have to get to know him.
Yeah.
It's like you got to see all the quirky stuff. Kind of like when Burdick got a Twitter account and suddenly everybody realized he was funny. It's
Oh
like,
my gosh, he's so fun. I love him too. He's
Yeah.
so funny and weird. And
Yes.
I love that. If you're funny and weird, you're just, and he's hot too. Like, he's hot, funny, and weird.
Yes, it's like the trifecta.
And he gets naked a lot too.
Yes.
and then he had that, like, weird erotic photo shoot where he's, like, choking his girlfriend in bed.
Oh God, that's right. I forgot. We did talk about that.
Yeah, where
Oh my
it's, like,
God.
ironic and uncomfortable at the same time.
We like men that make us feel slightly uncomfortable.
Turned
We
on
need
and
to go to
uncomfortable.
therapy.
Yeah. Like, I'm uncomfortable, but I love it. No, seriously, guys, don't make me uncomfortable. Like, if you
No.
meet me in real life, don't do
Don't
that.
go there. Yeah,
Don't go there. PSA. Public service announcement. Don't be creepy, you guys.
No neck beards and don't be creepy.
Like, seriously, okay, I want to apologize for the neckbeard thing because I genuinely feel very guilty about that because I was trying to be funny, and like I said, like, if you had a neckbeard, nobody would fuck you. I was kidding. You are delightful, you're beautiful, and there's so many women that will fuck you. And I'm sorry that I said that. And if I hurt anyone's feelings.
Yeah, I don't take it back at all.
She doesn't take it back. I do. I feel really bad. I want to kind of write an apology on that episode because I was really harsh. Like, I said no one would fuck you. That was a low blow, and that was not true.
No,
I'm sorry.
I took it in the spirit of meaning to be funny. So hopefully no one took that personally.
Yeah. I mean, no one told me they were offended, but I do kind of worry about that because I don't want to be mean.
That's right.
So I love you. You're all beautiful, and I would fuck you all if I was into that.
I was into that.
Not into neckbeards, but into fucking a lot of people. That was my point.
Creepy and weird is okay, but neckbeards, hell no.
No, but like, if I was into fucking a lot of people,
There you go.
I would just line you up. If you wanted to, consensually.
Consensually.
Not like in a Novak way, where I'm just grabbing you from behind.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
Moving on.
moving on.
Oh, more Stan. Yay!
Yay. He was very happy.
This was brilliant. Yeah, Stan was probably happy because they remembered that he was the defending champion and actually interviewed him on Tennis Channel. But Stan is a very tough interview. He's very skeptical. His attention wanders. So if you ask him a question he's heard, 16 times before, you're not going to get much out of him because he's bored. Brett Haber apparently studied this and learned, and he said all kinds of hilarious things and was saying stuff like, well, I'm sure you're sick of stupid guys like me asking these stupid questions, but I have to ask you this. And he kind of kept this constant patter going. And Stan totally lit up and said some funny things, and they were laughing together, and we really got to see Stan's sense of humor in person, not just on social media. So it's honestly one of the best interviews he's ever been in. Brett Haber was asking him about, winning the French Open, and, how was it different than winning the Australian Open? And Stan was talking about how he actually enjoyed it a lot more. At the Australian Open, the first time, he didn't know what was happening or what was going to happen. And in the French Open, he kind of felt a little more like he was playing well, and this, that he might be able to win another slam, and he enjoyed every step of the way that time. And he also, Brett Haber asked him about, the celebrations and things, and he goes, I don't remember that. And then he started laughing, and Brett Haber was like, then you celebrated correctly. And Stan was just like, yes, I celebrated correctly. And he was like, no, I remember everything. Getting back to my point. So it's just really cute, just these little cute moments. And Brett Haber actually asked him if the shorts would make a reappearance, the plaid shorts. And Stan was like, no, I don't think so. And then they kind of showed the tape, but they were kind of still talking over it a little bit. And Stan had the Bumblebee outfit on in this tournament, which I loved, the neon yellow and black. And Brett goes, well, this kit this year is still pretty bold. And Stan was like, it's pretty good, no? So it was just so cute. They were adorable together. And I sent this and tagged Brett in it, and he actually retweeted it and said, I said, love to see a sense of humor. And Brett said, me too. He was great. So,
that's nice.
Yeah.
Way to go, Brett. Look at that.
Yeah.
You're getting these Tennis Channel people, though.
Yes.
I mean, they're pretty obsessed with you.
That's because as much as I complain about Tennis Channel, I do suck up to them occasionally.
Somebody's trying to get a job at Tennis Channel.
That would be nice. Can I sit on the couch next to Stan?
That would be nice. And you got that voice, man.
There you go. I love Stanley. I could make everything awkward and weird. Stan would probably love that.
Yeah, right? Awkward, weird people are amazing. Just don't do that in person, you guys. Me. Don't be weird.
So this is a shout out to Brett as much as it was to Stan, because he had the right way of keeping Stan engaged.
Definitely. So, speaking of weird, John McEnroe announced he would be part of the coaching team of Milos Raonic, and he did it with song. Not great singing, but he strummed his guitar and said that he was going to be coaching a man named Milos. And I love when tennis gets really weird for no reason. I love it. I didn't hate this. I loved it. I genuinely love when he did this because it was just weird. And you're just like, what is happening right now? This is amazing. Tennis is weird. The weirdness of tennis is my favorite thing.
Yes, and I also like that he kind of had this super low cut t-shirt on too. I'm older, but I'm still hot.
He's down with the kids.
He's down with the kids. And he actually, after this, he went into a big rant about how there's going to be no roof on the French Open for 4 more years. And he pretended that he was calling the director, Guy Forget, to demand that it be, in 2017 they'll have a roof. And it was this insane thing, and he wasn't wrong. He was saying about how crazy all this is, that they're just for 4 years they can't manage to do this. And Guy4J apparently recorded his own video response at the same desk, and he acted out the getting the phone call and going, no, actually it's gonna be 2020, and he really showed a good sense of humor about being called out like that.
Yeah, so. And he called the French president.
Yes, the French president, that's what it was. Yeah,
he called the French president we have this problem here. What's it gonna be? It was really theatrical. That wasn't a French accent. I don't know. But it was really theatrical and just weird and funny.
Yes, yeah, it was amazing. And J-Mac drives me crazy sometimes, but I guess really you got to say he's good for the sport because he is crazy and will kind of just do anything to be entertaining. So that's good for television.
Yeah, so yeah, it's weird. It's weird and wonderful, and I love it. It's who does it? I want to be the people who saw that live and didn't know it was coming. And then all of a sudden there's McEnroe singing that he's coaching Milos. And I just wanna be the people that are watching that live going, what the fuck?
Yeah, and we'll see what happens in grass season too, because Milos has 10 coaches now. Everyone's kind of been joking about it. And press conference, he said something like, "I'm the CEO of my tennis." So it's God. Apparently he's got a bunch of managers below him that are going to work his game into shape. I don't know. So McEnroe's supposed to be helping on the grass. We'll see if it's just smoking it or.
That's good. That's good. That almost went over my head, but I got it.
They're gonna have a Kukushkin moment together.
Yeah, Kukushkin. We'll see what to be continued. We'll keep you updated, like the Sharapova doping case.
Yes,
we're really on the ball when it comes to smoking something or taking something
or fires or
fires. Oh man. So speaking of weird, we're still on that weird train.
We are.
Fredo posted this picture with his coach. Is that his coach?
I think so.
Because it says coach right there. That's the only word I can understand. I think that says ballerina. I don't know, but all I know is they just look like weird dolphins.
Yes.
Weird sand dolphins.
And perfectly timed though. I mean, it's actually really awesome.
They could be in the Olympics. Synchronized dolphining. Sand dolphin.
Sand dolphining. Oh,
synchronized sand dolphin team of Spain. They're in perfect form. They're on the ball. Okay, I'm done.
That was amazing.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
I'd be here all the week.
I'd be here all the week. So yeah, that was just weird. I just had to add that.
Yes, that was awesome. Oh, this picture is just so adorable.
Love is in the air.
And I think this kind of sums it up because I've been saying for a while that I'm not sure Jack should keep playing doubles because I think he really has a shot in singles. Oh. And every tournament he seems to run out of steam because he's playing also doubles, and a lot of times they go far in doubles. So he's playing matches every day, sometimes twice a day, and then he just runs out of gas when he gets to the quarters or whatever. And I feel like he's holding himself back from, what he could do in singles. But you can see, because he loves Vashy so damn much, and they play so well together, and, so it's I think it's got to be hard to make those decisions because they are a great team and they really enjoy playing tennis with each other. And I honestly think that they've learned a lot from, playing doubles. Jack's gotten better, at the net and things like that, even though Vashy's still the master up there. But Vashy plays better in doubles than he does in singles. Mm-hmm. But I know that he's been trying to back off of playing doubles in tournaments. So
They're so cute, though.
I know they're so adorable together. So I'm like so torn, but I feel like Jack he can't see. Well, a lot of the top players don't ever play doubles. They don't play doubles and slams because they want to focus all that energy on winning the singles. So he might be okay with how it's going right now, but at some point in the near future, he might have to shift his priorities. But just look at them; they're just so cute.
They're really cute. Speaking of cute, I kind of have the hots for Kiki's brother. His name's Luca, and I looked it up, people. I went on his Instagram to look up how old he was, because that could go either way. Because he has a very young face, and I'm like, I don't know where this is going. But he's 19 or 20, so he's legal, so it's fine. But he's pretty gorgeous, so I just wanted to shout out to that gene pool right there.
Yes. I watched some of her matches in this tournament. It's like they show her player box, and I'm like, hot damn, who's that? And it's like, oh, it's her brother. Oh, damn. So he is very pretty, which so is she. So like you said, It's a good gene pool.
Good gene pool.
I mean, this is like just like a model pose too.
I know. They're just beautiful.
This is like very Calvin Klein here. We got the all black on. And...
I know, they should model together for Adidas.
Totally.
Like officially.
Yeah. Yeah, officially. Well, they're doing it for free. Why should we pay them for that?
Yeah, he's pretty, pretty, pretty.
Yes.
So shout out to him.
Here's the shout out to Shelby's forehead.
Yeah.
I thought this was the cutest thing that she did a periscope from getting into her quarterfinals in the slam, and she's just so cute. She's showing the crowd more than herself, which I thought was adorable. Everybody's kind of doing a lot of the periscope, Snapchat kind of stuff. Stan did a lot of filming from out on the court. So there's the players are really getting into social media these days.
Yeah.
And Shelby is just kind of adorable in general, and I just thought this was extra cute because it's just like, where's Shelby? Oh, there she is.
Where'd you go? That is cute. And we have, this was really cool. I didn't see this, but you told me about it.
Yeah, I said this was the Aga Streets of a match, and they played a ton of points like this. I mean,
on their butt?
There was a lot of, well, Aga's always does that crouching pose.
Crouching tiger, hidden Aga.
Yeah, exactly. And Babs will just go for anything. I mean, she's doing somersaults on court. So the points were just phenomenal in this match, and I was so pissed the Tennis Channel wasn't showing any of it. And they finally came in at like at very end of the match or something and showed a few points. It's like, this is insane. Everyone should be watching this. And the big thing is always they promote a lot of the bigger players because they want to interest people who are non-diehard tennis fans. I'm like, if someone's watching this, they're totally going to get excited about tennis.
Yeah,
this is just crazy and fun, and they're having a good time. The audience was going crazy. This was a great match. The second set was the most phenomenal because they were really competitive in it, and so I super enjoyed Aga. I'm sorry that she can't go further, in some of these slams, but she's always a joy to watch.
Yeah, and the way she got up from that,
yes.
Like her legs are just, look, she just, it's like she's rubber. Like she just bounces right back.
Yes.
Where like me, I'd have to roll around on the dirt a little bit to get my ass back up.
Like crawl to get back up. She just like torsos it,
Yeah, she just like pops her body back up, and it's just like, look, like that's weird. Kudos to her for her body. My body can't do that.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing.
Where she like got up on her hand, so she pushed herself back up. Where Aga just She springs back up like a jack in the box.
Well, that's what when I think it's the WTA site that does all the gifts, and they did that one with her. It was like, oh shit, I left the gas on, because it's like the way she gets up so frantically. It's just so awesome. It's like, oh crap, I got to get up there.
Amazing. That was really good. I'm glad you included that. And more Roland Garros. Mark crying after they won the doubles was like, it just hit you.
I know. He's been at this a long time. Playing second fiddle to Rafa for a long time. He played with the Granollers in a lot of matches, and it's really, really nice that he got a title, and it obviously meant a lot to him with Feli. And I included this too because the Roland Garros Twitter account was awesome this year. They were funny. They had great pictures. They were sarcastic. They were throwing shade. Whoever was run, I don't know if it was more than one person, whatever, but they were awesome. And they also included a lot of photos that were like this one, an emotional moment, but also look at Feli's ass. Like, oh my God. It's like these people are after my own heart.
We all won.
Yeah, we all won. There was something for everybody here.
Yeah.
Drama and ass. Isn't that what we were just talking about?
Yeah, drama and ass.
Drama and ass. So super kudos to the Roland Garros site because they were awesome at this tournament. So hopefully they'll be the same people next year. Mm-hmm. And kudos to Feli's ass because that's just amazing.
We give you an award,
especially because the less clothes are pretty nice. That's what Tommy is supposed to be wearing too. He wears his shorts like 2 sizes too small. It's like he can't hardly even get the tennis ball in the pocket. They're so tight. But this is the reward for that.
Yeah, so. That's what we like. We're fine with that.
No complaints.
No, not at all.
Hi, Feli.
And now we have Taylor, who got engaged in Paris, and Twitter exploded.
Yes, Taylor broke the internet. I have never seen so many mothers freaking out about he's a baby, he's too young, he can't get married. And my question, which has yet to be answered, is this engaged or as soon as I'm done with school, work, tennis, my life, we'll get married? Because I know a lot of people do that. That's like a big popular thing where you just can flash the ring around, I'm engaged, but they have no intention of getting married anytime in the near future. So I don't know if that's the case here. I think he is pretty young, but my husband and I were together fairly young, and we're still happy. So I wouldn't want to condemn anybody who gets married young. It's like, if it's gonna work, it's gonna work. A lot of people get married older, get divorced, so it's like waiting until you're older isn't any guarantee of success. So if they are going to get married right away, I hope that everything works out and they're happy. Fritz doesn't really seem like he doesn't seem flighty, for being a kid. He seems pretty level-headed, so hopefully this is a good thing. I know a lot of people are going to be sad he's off the market so fast.
Yeah, I think that was probably the majority of the outrage.
It was pretending to be invested in his future, but
yeah, really, you're just like, oh, come on, And it's funny because I like other sports like bull riding, and all those guys get married like instantly. So there's really no one that you could really perv over because they're all married with kids at a really young age, and so you try to go younger, but then you can't. So I kind of get the frustration, but I just think, wow, lucky for her. Like, she gets a man that, like, takes her to Paris and proposes under the lights of the Eiffel
Yes.
Tower. I mean, that's amazing. And that's a beautiful moment. And I feel bad that they don't have a picture that's not better quality.
I was thinking that. I'm like, what horrible shadows on this
I
picture.
know. I was just and at first I didn't get that it was a shadow. Like, I was just really I didn't understand what was wrong with the picture, and then I was like, "Oh, it's the flash or whatever." And it I wish they had a better quality photo,
Yes,
a
yes.
more professional setup so they could have a better moment, but um I mean, good for them. I'm not very skeptical when it comes to love because I just think, I don't know what the relationship is, and some work, some don't, and I tend to go by love and root for love.
That's right.
So go on, Taylor.
We root for love, weirdness, and asses on the next
Yes.
session.
Yeah, we do. Totally do.
But good on you, kid. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Back
So,
to weirdness.
back to weirdness and zebras.
Like the weirdest zebras and like how some people felt about the French Open just landed with a thud.
Yeah.
Yeah, Courtney and I were talking about this in the run through about there right before this. I had seen that there's was a viral video that was out of some kid that did a bottle throw like this and got it to land on a table perfectly standing upright. And the crowd that was there apparently thought this was amazing. And what did you say that did you say he went
Yeah.
on?
The college kid that would do this at parties, I don't know why. Or no, he did it for a talent show. He did it for a talent show where he kind of came out and he did this like weird movement dance thing. So you didn't know what he was going to do. And all of a sudden he just takes a water bottle and flips it on the table and everyone went crazy. And he actually performed this on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert fairly recently. I don't know why it's viral, but it did. And, there are always certain things where you're just like, oh, okay.
Right.
But yeah, so he's kind of an internet sensation right now.
Yeah, so I think NK was hoping that he could have a similarly dramatic moment. And it just didn't work out that way. And I love that Zverev is kind of like, okay.
What are you doing, man?
So I would have been interested to see if a bald kid ran and then picked it up.
Oh my god, that would have been so funny.
You dropped your bottle, sir. So I just put that in there for just.
I don't think Rafa would be doing that.
No. Oh my gosh, the bad luck that would accrue. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Although I suppose if he got it to land exactly with the label facing the right direction, then maybe it would be okay. We love you, Rafa.
Yeah, definitely. So, Peter Polansky is revealing some things about himself deep down. Deep down, he's opening up his soul, and he goes, I just want to make out with Zac Efron. No homo, though. So apparently, Peter had watched a Zac Efron movie, which is probably the college one that's out right now with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
I assume, because that's probably one of the most recent ones that have been out. And of course, Zac Efron and his abs have been everywhere.
Yes.
And Peter Polansky just it's hitting him hard, like Stan hit me. Like you just don't know, and it just happens, and you just start feeling inside.
You have all the feels.
Yeah, you just have this tingling feeling you don't understand.
No homo though.
Yeah, the next thing you know, you want to make out with Zac Efron. We've all been there, right?
Totally.
Yeah, we've all had that moment where we're like, yeah, I'd make out with Zac Efron.
Totally. I believe, and Zac Efron is one of those guys that it was like, well, he was always cute, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh my god, let me see those abs again. Hot damn.
Yeah, and it's funny because stars of the movie from the college movie were on Colbert, and Colbert asks every co-star in the movie, does Zac Efron's abs have its own trailer? Every single guest star, he asks that question. He really wants to know.
You really want to know? He might possibly want to make out with Zac Efron as well.
Yeah, I mean everybody, you know.
And
Peter's not alone, man.
no, and you had the perfect description of Peter.
Oh, yeah, he's what did I say? He's part funny, part dick.
Yes.
Like, 'cause kinda sometimes he can come off very dickish
Yes,
and
absolutely.
not where you're not very pleased, and other times he's just hilarious and a joy. So he's part funny, part dick.
Yes. And sometimes I kind of feel like he enjoys that and he plays that up.
Yeah.
Like he knows that this is a totally dickish thing to say or whatever, and so he does it just to
But
amuse himself.
you know what's funny is in person he actually comes off very shy.
Yes.
So it's always kind of funny because you follow him on Twitter for a long time and then you meet him in person and then it's kind of shy. Because did I tell you guys about when I met Peter? I
I
think I
thought
did.
I think it was in one of the earlier
Yeah,
podcasts.
I think I did where we saw each other in Granby and he kept staring at me. And then we saw each other again in Montreal and I kept saying, well, if he looks at me, I'll say hi. So then we're both walking and right when we get next to each other, we both look at each other at the same time. I said hi and he said hi and then we start walking and my mom was just laughing. She's like, you both were like not looking at each other. Like you both were avoiding eye contact until right when you got next to each other. And I've done that before with a kid in elementary school and my mom was there too. So like I have these like weird moments like don't look, hi, and then don't look.
That's amazing.
So like yeah, so me and Peter had that weird moment together.
Yeah, that connection. Yeah. Yeah, it was funny because I follow him and he followed me for a while until he
Oh,
probably got overwhelmed with all of
humble
my
brag.
yeah, got overwhelmed by all my insanity. But I actually had one of the guys that I'm friends with said, "How can you follow him? Isn't he sexist and this and that?" So I actually had a guy ask me that, which I thought was funny. And I said if I unfollowed every guy that was sexist, I wouldn't have any men on my timeline. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the with like in the tennis world, you kind of have to pick your battles. Actually, in sports in general, let's be real.
In life in general.
In life in general, exactly. And it's like some things, it's like just whatever. He was trying to be funny. He was being a dick. Whatever. I don't worry too much about it. In the greater scheme of things, Peter does not offend me.
No, and he gets really mad when people get mad at him. He
Yeah,
doesn't take it well at all. We've talked about this
no.
before.
Yes, that is
Like,
his flaw. That is his flaw.
yeah,
He doesn't handle it well.
he doesn't at all. And I should just be like, anytime he says something bad, I should just go make out with Zac Efron.
Yes, there you
Everybody
go.
should say that. Anytime he says something ignorant, just go make out with Zac Efron.
Right? We know you want to.
Yeah. So that'll be our response to his.
Amazing. And I love that he has quite a few followers and no one replied to this. No one knew what to do with this.
I know. I retweeted it. I'm the only one that retweeted it.
Yes.
One retweet. How does that have only one retweet?
I think people just didn't know what to do with it. And I think some people might get offended by the no homo thing.
Oh, I guess I'm
Yeah.
used to it. I don't take that seriously because I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we said, part funny, part dick. So you kind
Yeah.
of just have to take the good with the bad.
Yeah. Good with the dick. Oh, man. Drama. See, we had a little dick. Now we're at the drama.
Drama.
So I don't even know how to describe this. Elise Cornet cramped during the match and was treated like every changeover.
Yes.
And nobody understood why she kept getting treated every changeover. She was being dramatic. Everybody was saying she was trying out for a Hollywood movie. Her opponent, Maria, was disgusted with her behavior. And instead of a handshake, she got finger wags.
Yes.
And it was funny because during this week that this match happened, on Outside the Ball, we have a new video every Tennis Tuesday, and then we promote it for a week. And that week, it was our video with Elise Cornet, where she was talking about how she got her start as a child actress. And we showed clips from her from a French television show where she played a tennis player in that as well. And she had a food fight with another girl. It was a really cute video. I really enjoyed it, but it just, the timing of it was very interesting because everybody was talking about how she needs to go into acting in Hollywood. And even the commentators were furious about her.
Yes. Yes, I was Lindsay Davenport, I think, was
Yeah.
really just going in on this. And it was because you really can't take an MTO for cramping, but she got an untimed evaluation period for them to figure out what was wrong with her. That lasted like 15 minutes. And then she got worked on every changeover because she got 2 for the cramping, and then she said that she had a hip injury on the other leg. And so then she got 2 treatments for that. So she didn't do anything illegal, but there's a lot of question about whether it was ethical or not. For me, the cramping looked real.
Yeah, it did.
Cramping's pretty hard to fake because your body just goes batshit crazy. And it's like a weird thing that looks fake, but I don't see how you could fake it because it's just so insane. Your body just loses control. But Alize is known for being a drama queen. I feel that she then totally worked it,
Yeah.
all that she could, and then ended up winning the match. And so I could see her opponent being very hot about that.
Not only was she hot, but apparently their teams in the locker room had to be separated.
Yes.
And Maria's camp is seeking legal action against either Cornet or the tournament for not enforcing things. I don't know if that's still happening.
Yeah, I never heard any other details. I didn't know if that was just a threat or if anything came of it or
I know they said they were talking to a lawyer and they were seeking legal action, but I don't know if they really can.
yeah.
So I don't know if I would be surprised if anything came of it, but it was definitely a very serious thing. They were, talking about it on Twitter and it was a heated thing.
Yes, definitely. And I these arguments come up every time when there's MTOs about whether it's like I know some of the older players a lot of times think there shouldn't be any treatment allowed because they feel like it's loss of fitness and you should just lose the match. But I guess a lot of times it's like, well, how good would that be? If people go to see tennis and like 3 of the matches end on retirements.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand why they started incorporating it because sometimes people can just get a little massage or something and then they're fit to play, which was obviously what was true in Alize's case. But some people really do push it too far, and it's not fair. It isn't fair to the other player because it's like you're thinking, well, if the person's hurt, they need help or whatever. It's like, yeah, but what about the other person who's fit for this match and is now having to sit around and get cold, for 15 minutes?
Yeah.
While the other person's getting all their muscles worked on.
Yeah, they need to get a ball kid to hit with them.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta do what Stan does, you gotta learn from this.
Yeah, jog around the court.
There you go. Draw some attention to yourself. Do your own drama.
Mm-hmm. We have more drama.
Yeah, more drama. This was so awesome. This is Mariana Velovic. That's what I'm going to go with. I apologize if I mispronounced her name. She's a Serbian umpire, and this is just so awesome. Mattia was having a fight with, I think it was Geraldo that he was playing against, and they got into some super heated argument, and she just trots down. And I love just the little delicate hand on his chest, like, okay, that's as far as you go. And she's just so serene about it. Like,
yeah, she's so calm. Like, there's nothing in her face.
Yeah.
She doesn't say anything. She just...
Yep. It's just, my presence here is enough. You're just going to stop right there.
But my favorite thing about this GIF, which I didn't notice until later, was that girl in the crowd, the
Yes.
woman in the pink jacket, and she is just having a ball. It's
Yes.
like she's going, fight, fight, fight. This is the greatest day of my life. Like,
I
she is
know.
just the happiest little girl over there, and she just made my day.
I know. That sums up the French crowd right there. They're willing to boo anything. Like if you just like pause to look at a ball mark, they all start booing and whistling. So it's like you can just see something like this. It's like, oh yeah, it's so on.
Oh, man.
And personally, I'm jealous of the umpire because I would not mind touching a pretty French man's chest, and be
Yeah.
allowed to.
Yeah, no, totally.
Oh, I'm just stopping him from the fight. Ooh, what lovely pecs you have. Do you
Just like
count?
feeling his breasts, like just groping him.
That would be amazing. That would probably stop the fight.
Yeah, if you just start groping his breasts out of nowhere. We should tell Mo that, because Mo is always in the matches where fights break out.
Yes, yes.
So we should tell Mo, next time just start groping a breast, any breast, and it'll stop the fight. Yeah.
And then you will lose your gold badge and be escorted off the court, but it will be fun for that one match.
It would really be fun. And me and you going, yeah,
Yeah.
grope it, grope it.
Oh my gosh.
We're the worst. How do you guys listen to us? Like, we're just garbage all the time.
It's so funny because I was like reluctant to retweet something the other day because I'm like, I'm trying to be more, professional on the Twitter account. Like, I'm of course still want to be suggestive and talk about butts and stuff, but I'm like, I don't want to push it too far and offend anybody. And it's like, and I'm like, just ignore the podcast though.
Yeah, ignore the
All
podcast.
bets are off in the podcast.
Please don't listen to us at all. Like, we're like the Jerry Springer of tennis podcasts. We're the worst. Like, we set the bar so low. It's just,
It's amazing.
it's amazing. It's so bad, it's good. Like, okay.
We can move on from there.
So next we have Serena. This might take a little bit to load, so it might be like a little black. Oh, it didn't. All right. So I'll show the video before I talk about it because I can't hear.
These minor problems.
The volume's in my ears, so I can't hear.
You're really talented for a girl.
It's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll pause it for a second and talk about it. I'll explain what we just watched. As fun as that is to watch, Serena filmed this video of herself hitting balls at a heckler, and he's shouting offensive things that people often say to women, which is good because we talk about the sexism thing and things that people say to women that they may not realize how offensive it is. So I think a lot of these videos are great to kind of show, hey, don't say that. So like, hey, you should smile more, and then he gets hit with a ball. So he says a lot of different things, and I encourage everybody to go watch the video because it's a lot of fun. And it was for Glamour magazine. They did this, and that was just, it's fun watching a guy get hit with balls.
Yes.
It's fun. It's very satisfying.
Yes, it is. And there's some interesting things that happen that make Serena laugh too. So it's a pretty funny video. And all the stuff that he does say is like you're listening to it going, "Oh my God, I have heard all of these things."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
it's great because it showcases things that are said like every day.
Yes.
And not even just by men. Women say these things as well.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Because,
sometimes the women are worse.
Yeah, because I have one of the things he says that I said was, he says, why don't you smile more? How about you smile more? And I actually have a friend who takes a lot of pictures of herself not smiling, and she looks absolutely gorgeous. But there's always women on there going, you should smile more.
Yes.
You're pretty when you smile.
Yes.
And she's pretty now. She's gorgeous. And so yeah, it's a good video to watch. It's both entertaining and educational. And there's actually another video that I wanted to bring up, which Vogue did a behind the scenes piece about the Williams Invitational. It's a secret dance competition that the Williams sisters put on every year. And I didn't know about this. Like, I kept hearing about it, but I didn't actually know what it was. So it's a secret dance. Sorry.
That's how I felt when I heard about it.
It's a secret dance competition that the Williams put on every year, and they split up into two teams, a Serena Williams team and a Venus Williams team, and they have a set of impartial judges, and they do a couple dances each, different themes and styles. It is amazing because they make it's professional. It's not them just doing this little choreographed routine. They do tricks. Serena was in one of those aerial hoops, like, you know, those like hula hoops that like Cirque du Soleil do.
Yes.
I don't know
absolutely.
what they're called. It's probably not aerial hoop, but whatever. I was thinking.
I think that is what they called it.
Is
actually,
because I was thinking of the aerial fabrics. And I didn't know that those were called the same thing, but she does like a spinning thing on there. They do these routines and they're dead serious. I mean, it's like a real dance competition. It's not something like, oh, two tennis players are just dancing. It's serious. And the video is amazing because you see all their different costumes. And I don't understand how she has time to do it. Because it takes training. Like they take classes and they hire, you know, professional people to help teach them these routines. And I don't understand how she has time to tennis and learn dance routines that are so intricate and so professional. And it blew me away because I've always been a huge fan of dance, and it was actually really, really great. And friend and actor Colton Haynes is in it too.
Yeah.
And I think in the video he says he screwed up at one point and was so scared Serena was going to kill him. But Serena's team won the last one, and it's actually really good. Vogue did it, and I know Serena posted it, and you can find it around the internet, and I recommend watching it because it's actually really, really interesting.
And I knew you would love it because I found it totally obnoxious.
I love it, but I love dance though. I did dance when I was a kid, and I always wanted to get back into it, and I follow a lot of dance teams online and things like that. So to do that, and for how serious she did it, you know, it wasn't just like a fun like Monte Carlo player party. It was something that they actually did really seriously, and they had judges, and I just thought it was really cool, and I wish they would expand it. But why do you think it's obnoxious? I don't understand.
It's just like people with too much money. That's what it is to me. And it kind of goes back to my thing about how hard is she having to work at winning in tennis if she's able to put on these full choreographed shows with costumes. They said that they flew everyone down to Australia so that they could practice while she was at the slam.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they said that they diligently worked out a whole scoring system that the judges have to follow, and that they invite all kinds of people to come and see them, and they all have to sign a non-disclosure agreement before they go in there. And it just, I don't know. It's like you have a bunch of money, you can do whatever you want. They're not hurting anybody. It's fine, but it just seems like a super self-indulgent thing. It's kind of like if everybody got together and just, you know, performed and played tennis and did stuff and had fun as a family and friends and everything. That's kind of cool, but I feel like the fact that they do take it so seriously, it was just kind of seemed insane to me. But I'm like, I know Courtney's gonna love this.
I loved it because, I mean, it's kind of a nod of like the underground dance scenes and the underground dance scenes that have these competitions, and it is a very serious thing. Now, I mean, I didn't know about the flying them all around because I wondered, how did they train? Like, I don't understand where the time is, but I mean, it seems kind of outrageous and silly, but watch it. I have such respect for performance and art, and you know, I love Broadway and I love all these things. So although it seems over the top and silly, I want to be invited so bad. Like, I want to be invited. I love dance. I want to, you know, I started hooping, which is like hula hoop with tricks. And you do like you can incorporate dance or you could do straight tricks, and I want to do like shuffle dance, and there are all these things that I'm kind of interested in performing wise. So I just thought it was really cool that she had this whole secret dance group that
Yeah.
was like super exclusive, like, and nobody knew about it, and it was just like this crazy thing that she does with her sister, and I just thought that was really cool. So I think it's funny how you go, oh, I hate this, but I know Courtney will love it.
I know. And I was right. And all the Serena fans have now unfollowed me. So
Well, you've never really spoke highly of Serena.
no, but I try not. It's the same kind of thing where I try not to be disrespectful or anything, because I know a lot of people really like her, and it's Serena's always a funny thing to me, because I think it's true with most players, but it seems to be particularly with Serena that everything that I dislike about her is what all of her fans love about her. So
Well, I used to hate Serena. I never liked Serena. It wasn't until like the past like year or so where I actually started to see like her badassery, but it was more off court stuff, not on court stuff.
right.
So that could be, something too, where I don't really, watch her matches or cheer for her on court, but I really like her kind of off court lifestyle and I want to be involved. Oh, and we should mention that she did I think it was for Glamour magazine, where she did a photo shoot and profile along with this video, and she said that it's not fair to blame Drake for her US Open loss.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, no, that was a pretty good interview too. Yeah, and I said the thing too with Serena is I always try to show those positive things. It's like the Nole stuff. I do like a lot of her off-court things. Mm-hmm. And I always am on her side about a lot of stuff about the way that she's spoken about, that's sexist and racist and all that kind of stuff. And they do deal with a lot of shit, that's unfair. So I try not to pile on, even though I'm not a fan,
Yeah.
But I said that this particular thing was something that really got to me, and then I'm like, and Courtney's gonna love it.
Yeah, I do. I love it. It was my favorite thing I've ever seen. I was so obsessed with it. I wanted to be a part of it. I was so into it. I thought it was the coolest thing. And I wish that they had, because in the clip that I showed for Vogue, they didn't show the full dance routines. They just showed little clips and stuff, and of course she posted a lot of pictures of their costumes and things like that. And I was just like, I want to see the whole thing. Like, I want to witness it. It just was so amazing to me, because my friend used to do dance, so I used to go to her competitions and stuff. Not like this, but you know what I mean. Regular dance competitions. And I just always kind of love that kind of stuff. So I was just like, this is the coolest. So I just love the fact that you were just like, oh, and I'm just like, invite me. So I think it's funny, but it's great because we are very different, you and I. And yes. I think that's kind of, we're similar in ways, but we're very, very different. So I think that's kind of cool in this show, where we get to kind of showcase different personalities and different
different viewpoints about things, because you're gonna get the polar opposites on some things.
Yeah, where some things we're like, yeah, we're in unison. Other times we're like, I will fight you.
And what are you on?
Yeah. So
I turned you over to Stan, though. I converted you.
I did. So you never know.
So you might convert me to a Serena dance troupe. We never know.
Maybe I can get us in, and you'll be like, wow, this is a show.
Yeah, and we won't be able to talk about it.
No, we won't be able to talk about it, but we'll know.
We'll know.
So speaking of a show, Gregor Dimitrov had a pussy problem.
We had a dick problem earlier with Nole, so I guess we've come full circle.
So Gregor Dimitrov, the DJ, started to play Don't Ya by the Pussycat Dolls, which is his the lead singer is his girlfriend. I'm assuming they're still together. As far as I know, they were still together in Paris.
Okay, yeah, because there was some discussion about that they're kind of on off.
They were still together in Paris, but this video is incredibly awkward, and I don't know what it means. Like, I want to get into his head because I don't know why he reacted so weird.
Yeah, well, because the DJ is kind of trolling him in a way, which I
But
know some people were talking about. Like, is that really something you want to do? Is distract a player during the match? Because apparently he was up 4-3 at this point, and then afterwards he'd lost like the next 7 games. So a lot of people are blaming it on this, which I wouldn't go that far. But
first of all, that's really sad that you can
yeah,
lose a match just because your girlfriend's music starts to play.
well, that's why I was thinking that maybe it was his ex, because that's what it seemed like, where he was like, "Really, you're gonna rub that in my face?" That
Yeah, it seemed weird. And then he
yeah,
just like he didn't seem amused and then he kind of laughed, but it was just awkward. Like
yes,
it wasn't a natural reaction. Because I feel like if you play the music of someone you know, I think you'd kind of laugh and giggle, but he just seemed annoyed.
yeah,
And it wasn't like a nice reaction, so I don't know what's going on with them, but yeah, it was a very awkward like, "Oh,
yeah.
okay."
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I gotta think that the DJ wasn't trying to upset him, but maybe they were trying to troll a little bit.
Either that or like I probably would have too. Like Anna Kournikova, I would have played Enrique Iglesias. Like, because that's her boyfriend. It makes sense. It ties in.
Yeah.
Andy Roddick serenaded her with Enrique Iglesias at an Arthur Ashe Kids Day one year.
Courtney has all this knowledge.
Yeah, it's just Andy Roddick going, "I'll be your hero, baby," or whatever. The lyrics for it, he's real ridiculous. It's burned in my brain because it was hilarious. So yeah, anything funny that happens, it's all in here.
So there's poor Grisha, who did not have a good tournament again. So, and he just had to play Delpo and on the grass, and so that was a horrible draw. So we don't know what's going to go on with Grisha coming up, but we wish him better than this.
Oh man. And now
Oh, my favorite part. All of my favorite parts.
drama and ass. So I'll let Valerie take this one.
This is kind of amazing. Um, it's very beautiful. It's a little bit artistic license taken because Stan's very buff, but I don't think his shoulders are quite that big. But I think they got the ass and the legs very well. And it's just really cute with the shorts hanging up because it's
Yeah.
like your old school Renaissance nude, and then he's got his little tennis shorts hanging on the line, which is why he's naked. I just love that, and with the trophy in the back, and plus it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I would totally hang this in my room. Like in a
Yes,
frame.
I talked
a
about
lot
putting
of
it up in
them.
my office. If I could afford one big enough, I talked about it. And somebody was like, you should do it. And I said, well, I don't know how JD would feel about that. But I said, I guess he wouldn't come in and bother me anymore when I'm working.
That's great. Yeah.
But
A lot of these were really beautiful.
yeah, this was, and the only complaint. Only complaint we had was that we didn't think his hair was fluffy enough, because that's the big thing about Stan. He has the cutest fluffy hair. So that's the thing that throws it off a little bit to me. And plus, Stan's hands are a little bit more delicate than they've been portrayed here. But there was it's funny, a lot of people talked about this a lot, and they were saying he had the dirty feet, like like Caravaggio paintings and stuff. And I'm like, damn, people are really getting into this. But I love that he's got clay feet.
Yeah.
So this was just, and then we talked about that this is what the ESPN body issue
Should have been.
should have been. This is
Totally.
glorious and so creative, and and beautiful instead of awkward.
Yeah. This is more artsy than what
Yes.
they did.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I said. It's like, and Stan would have approved because this is artistic, which is what he wanted. So I like 7,000 thumbs up to this portrait. It's just beautiful. I want more.
Yeah, well, and Stan fans are gonna riot pretty soon.
Oh, yes, because his dehydral underwear ads are supposed to be out in May. That's what they told people on Twitter. And now everyone's been tweeting them constantly, and they have been radio silence. So we don't know if they're just still working on it, if they've shelved it. I don't know if they were maybe hoping he was going to win the French again, and then they were going to release the photos. I don't know what their plans are. But it's, damn it. we want naked, sexy Stan right now, please. So,
Yeah.
and then that we can do a whole podcast just on that.
I know. I see fans I read on my timeline complain about that every now and then.
Yes.
Like,
Because-
where is it?
Yeah, because I mean, they started promoting it like last year. It's like,
Yeah.
give me a break already.
Yeah. And fans are going to show up at their offices and start flipping tables pretty soon.
No,
It
I
is
was
serious business.
thinking that. I'm like, do they have a home office? I'm gonna stage a riot. I'm gonna Mission Impossible my way in there and try to get all the proofs.
Try to go get in the file cabinet hanging from a rope. I know some of our fans that will hold the rope
Yes, absolutely.
down and Tom Cruise it into the file system.
That's right. Anything to get Stan's peach in our hands. Oh, so that's a lovely end to our
yeah,
podcast,
that's
I
our
think.
show. That's our show. We have a cute little ending in the locker room. We're gonna end in the locker room with half naked men.
That's right. This is the way we like. I'm sorry that Pookie isn't more naked, but
I know. I was thinking that too.
he still looks good. And Diego is so adorable. I love him. And he doesn't look bad with the shirt off. And then I love the photo bomb in the back from Sam Groff,
Groff, yeah.
which Diego does not even mention.
I know. With my friend. And then Sam's just there.
Yeah, that's just some weird dude behind us. Just pay no attention to him.
Poor Sam.
I'm surprised he didn't crop him out of the picture.
Oh my gosh. Poor Sam.
Poor Sam. So this is the end of our lengthy podcast. I think we went pretty long on this one too.
Yeah, I think we did. But that's okay. We had a lot happened. We narrowed it down. That's the thing. Like, we have other things we could talk about, but we were like, no, we gotta cut that. We gotta include that. So it was tough getting through everything, but I think we did well.
Yes, I think we made it through pretty well.
Yeah, I'm happy with this episode. I don't think we went on too many tangents.
No, not too bad.
Um,
But we both took lots of notes, so I think that helped.
I did. We were very well prepared this episode. Sometimes we take notes and sometimes we don't, but there was just so much that we took notes, and I think that kept us on track. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
yeah.
And so you can follow me at Tennis Inside Out. You can follow Courtney at Courtney Mania or at Outside the Ball. And this has been the night session.